करना चाहिए कि दिल्ली की बेसमेंट्स के अंदर कोचिंग सेंटर और लाइब्रेरीज नहीं चलेंगी।
इनकी हत्याओं के लिए कौन जिम्मेदार है? ये घटना नहीं है, ये राज्य प्रायोजित हत्याएं हैं। क्योंकि वहां पर वो क्लासेस इस प्रकार से कैसे चल रही थी, किसकी अनदेखी थी? स्थानीय विधायक की जवाबदेही होनी चाहिए और आतिशी जी को भी कोई प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके दोषारोपण नहीं, अपनी जिम्मेदारी उठाते हुए अकाउंटेबिलिटी देनी चाहिए। उल्टा ये लोग अब इंक्वायरी और ब्लेम गेम ये शुरू कर देंगे। ये शर्मनाक है।
Even as a magisterial probe was ordered into the incident and the owner of the coaching center booked and detained, the AAP continued to face fury. While Delhi Minister Atishi and Mayor Shelley Oberoi promised to bring the culprits to book, they couldn't escape the tough questions on criminal lapses. There were questions why it took the loss of 4 lives in 3 days for them to finally wake up.
कौन जिम्मेदार है, हम इस पर जांच बिठाएंगे और एमसीडी का अधिकारी हो या किसी भी डिपार्टमेंट का अधिकारी हो, जो भी जिम्मेदार होगा, अकाउंटेबिलिटी होगी, एक्शन होगी और पूरी कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
As more and more incidents of shocking civic lapses come to the fore, is it time for people in the national capital to hold the AAP to account?
And moving on, as Prime Minister Modi chaired key meet of BJP-ruled chief ministers and deputy chief ministers for second straight day at the party headquarters. Now, on the agenda was discussion on state elections in Jharkhand and Maharashtra and executive of centre and state schemes at the grassroots level. Here's what happened.
After the 2024 Lok Sabha mandate, this is the biggest meeting called by the BJP in the capital. Attended by CMs and deputy CMs of BJP-ruled states, PM Modi helmed day 2 of the meet at the party headquarters. From discussion on upcoming elections in Maharashtra and Jharkhand, performance review after the 2024 mandate, it was a packed agenda at the 2-day meet.
We are in the final day of Mukhyamantri Parishad, where we have seen chief ministers and deputy chief ministers making presentations regarding various governance policies on the schemes which have been implemented in the state. While a few of the positive policies would be adopted by other states, there is a possibility that there will be discussion of by-poll and assembly elections which would now be taking place in the few states in upcoming days. While Prime Minister Narendra Modi is chairing the session on both the days, today is the day when he is going to deliver Mann Ki Baat, and all the chief ministers and deputy chief ministers are going to listen to the Mann Ki Baat together.
With months to go for assembly elections in Maharashtra, Jharkhand and Haryana, the BJP is going all out to secure a thumping majoring with focus on people-to-people connect and working at the grassroots level.
Break. On the other side, Manu Bhakar wins bronze at Paris Olympics, becomes the first Indian woman to clinch shooting medal.
Just general.
We talked about the hospitals.
Talked about
Well, we're trying to get one, and I think to the extent that Hamas understands that there's no daylight between Israel and the United States, that expedites the deal, and I would hope that
She's a radical left person. San Francisco, destroyed San Francisco. She's really a destroyer. She doesn't know how to build. And I think her remarks were disrespectful. They weren't very nice pertaining to Israel. I actually don't know how a person who's Jewish can vote for her, but that's up to them. But she was certainly disrespectful to Israel, in my opinion.
Has your relationship with the Prime Minister repaired at all?
No, it was never bad. I would say it was always good. No president has done what I've done for Israel, and we've always had a very good relationship. And if I didn't, I have a secret weapon. You know what it is? Sarah. Sitting right over here. I have Sarah. As long as I have Sarah, that's all that matters.
Do you feel like after this trip, Mr. Prime Minister, we're any closer to a ceasefire deal?
I hope so, but I think time will tell. We're certainly eager to have one, and we're working on it.
Can you tell us the status of the hostage negotiations?
I think there's been some movement because of the military pressure that we exerted. I hope that there'll be sufficient movement to get the deal completed.
That's a very tough situation, the hostages. They have to be given back immediately because there can be no way that they're in good shape. They're obviously not being treated properly. And you hope that they're okay, but there are a lot of hostages, I'm sure, that will not be okay. And it's just not an acceptable situation.
If you're really in love with something, you are not looking at outcomes. You're not looking at quick success. You're not looking at funding all the time. You're not looking to get rich. You're just enjoying the process. I always wanted to become a mentor, always wanted to do something in the education space, in the upskilling space, but I ended up still working in different sector organizations, maybe to tell myself I'm not liking it.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
Can you tell us what you talked about? Yes.
Just general.
We talked about the hostages.
Talked about
Mr. Prime
what we're
Minister,
having for lunch.
could you tell me, Mr. Prime Minister, how Kamala Harris's remarks yesterday might have impacted negotiations on a ceasefire deal?
Well, we're trying to get one, and I think to the extent that Hamas understands that there's no daylight between Israel and the United States, that expedites the deal, and I would hope that
No, I have no remarks. She's a radical left person. San Francisco, destroyed San Francisco. She's really a destroyer. She doesn't know how to build. And I think her remarks were disrespectful. They weren't very nice pertaining to Israel. I actually don't know how a person who's Jewish can vote for her, but that's up to them. But she was certainly disrespectful to Israel, in my opinion.
Relationship with the Prime Minister repaired at all?
No, it was never bad. I would say it was always good. No president has done what I've done for Israel, and we've always had a very good relationship. And if I didn't, I have a secret weapon. You know what it is? Sarah. She's sitting right over me. I have Sarah. As long as I have Sarah, that's all that matters.
Do you feel like after this trip, Mr. Prime Minister, we're any closer to a ceasefire deal?
I hope so, but I think time will tell. We're certainly eager to have one, and we're working on it.
Can you tell us the status of the hostage negotiations?
I think there's been some movement because of the military pressure that we exerted. I hope that there'll be sufficient movement to get the deal completed.
That's a very tough situation, the hostages. They have to be given back immediately because there can be no way that they're in good shape. They're obviously not being treated properly. And you hope that they're okay, but there are a lot of hostages, I'm sure, that will not be okay. And
Hi there, welcome back to this week's edition of Get Me Right, your deep dive show on governance and international news events that impact our lives, yours and mine. If not immediately, then for sure in the long term. That's why the choice of the weekend, when you can sit back and soak in. This past week had two major developments, one domestic, one global. The Modi government presented its first budget of the third term. There was nothing big bang, and the markets even tanked. Typically, we have seen governments using the budget as an occasion to make populist announcements that buttress their constituencies. Not the Modi government. It takes political courage to think long term when you have taken a beating in an election and are looking at another difficult round of elections in 4 months. I'll explain the why and how of it. Second, in a coup of sorts, President Joe Biden has been replaced by Vice President Kamala Harris to hold Democrat Party ticket for elections in November for the United States President. Endorsements were quick even as an incommunicado Biden recovered from COVID. Conspiracy theories abound. But the contest is clear now. The same week, Donald Trump got the official nomination of the Republicans to be President of the United States this election. We discussed conspiracy theories around his assassination bid last edition. But this week, let's understand who between the two, Trump and Kamala, is a better deal for India, and for what reasons.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House. Jai Hind.
Union Minister for Finance Nirmala Sitharaman presented her sixth full budget this week. One thought it was a document of political courage. But before I tell you how, let's look at some of the political reactions and criticisms that came in. It's a grudge list.
I'm particularly happy that she had an opportunity to read the Congress manifesto.
yes.
She picked the good ideas on page 11, page 30 and page 31.
Rahul Gandhi thought it was a Kursi Bachao budget because Andhra and Bihar were mentioned more times than Bengal and Telangana, indicating towards the former being ruled by BJP allies JDU and TDP respectively. P. Chidambaram grudges the fact that the apprenticeship scheme announced to tackle the issue of employment is copied from the Congress manifesto. An op-ed in the Indian Express written by JNU faculty Himanshu headlined it as a budget that prioritized politics over economics. From flagging a demand and consumption deficit to precarious exports to tepid private investment, the tone of the article was more corporate than what all the corporate honchos who spoke on the budget after Sitaraman's speech could muster. Shekhar Gupta of The Print termed it as BJP's socialist turn. He has not done it for the first time, of course. But these are same set of people who till a day before the budget were panning the Modi government for helming jobless growth. When the issue gets addressed, the goalpost is moved and the provision is termed socialist. Let's get you the political courage aspects clear.
Bihar has frequently suffered from floods, many of them originating outside the country.
While there was a preponderance of projects mentioned for Bihar and Andhra, thus giving an impression that the Modi government caved in to the JDU-TDP pressure, the facts are to the contrary. One is the issue of perception. Remember those days when ABA Ghani Khan Chaudhary of Bengal would be the railways minister in the 1980s, or Lalu Prasad Yadav in UPA years. Listening to the railways budget, one would get an impression that all trains originated in Malda town, the constituency of Chaudhary, or some railway station in Bihar in the case of Lalu. The reality was that the ministers were only allowed to be partial to their home states in their speeches, even as the entire document remained neutral on project allocation. So in the case of Modi government's first NDA budget, ally states might have got reflected in their speech, even as the larger budget remained states neutral. The Gaya Industrial Corridor that has been announced, for example, is part of the larger Amritsar-Dibrugarh Industrial Corridor that would have anyway passed through the middle of Bihar. Also, the development projects announced are in the nature of center-state collaboration, not giving total leverage to the ally. It takes a measure of political courage to innovate in a manner that the allies get what they want, yet the philosophy of not opening multiple windows of corruption remains. Markets reacted sharply in the negative, and that brings me to the more substantive arguments in favor of the Modi 3.0 first budget being a document of political courage. Much of the market's nosedive had to do with the increase in taxes that directly affect stock trading, both the short-term and long-term capital gains taxes, as also the securities transaction tax, the levy imposed for every trade you make in the markets. Obviously, this makes participation costlier and hence a deterrent to that extent, explaining the reaction. On the face of it, this seems like a counterproductive measure. Why rock the boat if things are going fine? The Sensex has been booming. At over $5 trillion, India's market capitalization of listed companies is higher than the national GDP at about 140%. The last of the $1 trillion gain has happened in just last 8 months, since November 2023, which means those 250 million odd market participants have added $1 trillion, or about rupees 80 lakh crores to their wealth in 8 months alone. But there's a flip side to it. At $5 trillion, India's share in global market capitalization stands at 4% against the historical average of 2.7%, giving you an idea of the stretched valuations. Nifty 50 trading at price to earnings, or the PE multiple of 19, is about 20% higher than its long-term average. This is an indication that a lot of money supply is chasing limited good quality stocks, thus making them expensive. In fact, this made India one of the most expensive markets in the world. A day before the budget, Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikanta Das had warned that the market froth is not good. It was even creating some structural problems of liquidity in the banking system. Das said that the deposits growth, or money deposited by people in their savings accounts, had slowed as those were getting diverted to equities and real estate. While affordable housing remains a focus area, much of the heavy lifting there also is being done by the government through projects like the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, PMAY, and Swami, the special window for affordable and middle income housing. A measure of the housing mess can be gauged from the fact that of the total of companies entering the insolvency resolution process through the IBC mechanism, 21% are from real estate sector. Of the cases that got resolved, 1 in 4 or 25% belong to the real estate. Also, of the 891 corporate lenders approaching IBC, 133 or roughly 1/5 happen to be real estate lenders with their money stuck in projects with builders. Add to it the fact of over 4 lakh housing units stuck in delayed projects as acknowledged by the economic survey. You are looking at a scenario where lakhs of crores of rupees of hard-earned wealth of people is stuck in dead, non-productive asset class. Of late, with the post-COVID recovery, an element of speculation has also been injected. Ask me, I live in Noida, and both in terms of projects delayed and uncontrolled bull run in prices, it's a nightmare in the making. This was creating problems for the banks, for their credit requirements, which is their chief revenue source. Banks were getting into a zone where they had to borrow money at higher rates vis-a-vis the cost of deposits. A measure of stock market froth is the number of new accounts opened in last 1 year alone. In the last 1 year, markets saw over 4 crores of new demat accounts opening, taking the total to 16 crore plus. There's an adage for those who are active in stock trading. If your barber or the car driver starts talking about scripts to buy or sell, it's time to quit. The markets are almost reaching that stage. Somebody had to bite the bullet. Nirmala Sitharaman has done that job. Taken together, the capital gains tweaks and the indexation benefit removal would have the much needed sobering effect on the speculative side of both the equities and the real estate markets. Who benefits from preventing the mayhem that was building up? Obviously, the middle classes. But that long-term nuance is missed by those who thought tax saving is only about tax slab changes. Now let me show you some other aspects of the budget that indicate towards political courage in the face of temptations. For the first time in the last 4 years, we have a current account surplus for any quarter, which means we exported more than our imports. Robust exports are also reflected in great foreign reserves at over $650 billion. Fiscal deficit is on the glide path as mandated by the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Inflation, though of some concern on food and fuel basket, remains in manageable territory. All these taken together gave the Modi government enough space to splurge. If it so wished, it could have done that by way of populist measures like tax breaks, waivers, deductions, and rebates. The Congress-led UPA effectively bought the 2009 mandate with the farm loan waiver largesse in Manrega payouts in a much dire fiscal situation. Just to give one example, in 2012, the food fuel fertilizer subsidies bill stood at about rupees 2 lakh crores at a steep 14% of the total budget. It was the year of highest subsidies in the UPA decade. Agencies were warning about this open-ended subsidy bill. There's a direct correlation between that fiscal irresponsibility and the inflation hitting double digits territory of 10%. Coupled with corruption as a governance issue, it paved the way for the phase out of the UPA government by 2014. In 2024, Sitharaman has succeeded in capping the subsidy bill at 8% of the total, even as the absolute figure of subsidizing welfare has almost doubled to rupees 3.8 lakh crores. The rupees 2 lakh crores allocated for giving a jobs push to the economy are, despite the fiscal deficit target getting downward revised to 4.9 against the 5.1% that was estimated in the interim budget just 4 months ago. Nobody would have accused the Modi government of irresponsibility had it stuck to that February figure. Imagine, after the reduced numbers in the Lok Sabha, any government would have developed political cold feet in Kursi Bachao mode. But Modi did not. The government is maintaining a fine balance between fiscal discipline and welfare measures, and despite reduced numbers in the Lok Sabha, with political courage.
Hotel Management with AI. Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
Yeah, I think everything that I've been through, I want to push the limits. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I'm still capable of so that once I step away from the sport, I can truly be happy with my career and say I gave it my all. And that's how I feel like currently in this position.
On to the second story. This week saw clarity emerge on who are the presidential candidates on both sides of the political divide in the United States. Donald Trump got Republican nomination at party's national convention in Milwaukee, and President Joe Biden got dumped in favor of Kamala Harris for her to be the Democrat challenger to what seems like a Trump juggernaut post the July 13 assassination bid on him. What's in it for us in India? How would we get impacted if Trump is president? What would be the foreign policy consequences if Harris gets the mandate in November instead? Would Trump be a tariff hawk on India given his earlier position? Remember him calling us the tariff king. Or things have changed since 2020. Let's take a deep dive. Those watching foreign policy closely would recall that famous Trump soundbite. If you've forgotten, listen in.
India, which is the tariff king, they called us and they say, we want to start negotiations immediately.
Clearly, Trump did not forget. Trump ran his 2016 campaign posing as an outsider out to wreck the corrupt DC establishment. He turned that old Beltway metaphor, drain the swamp, into a campaign war cry. The phrase has been used by American politicians from Helen Jackson in 1880s to Ronald Reagan in 1980s, a century later, and became Trump's talisman. with the former president using it as many as 150 times in his social media posts in the 2016-2020 period. In some ways, he was an outsider even for the Republican establishment, and that outsider's worldview affected both domestic and foreign policy. Steps like meeting Kim Jong-un of North Korea, going soft on Putin, shifting US embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and of course the biggest one, threatening to disband NATO if Europe did not pay up, were all maverick policy shifts that had the mark of his outsiderness. Trump carried the same unconventional approach to his position on China. It was for the first time perhaps that the threat from China was acknowledged publicly at that level of DC establishment. Trump not only went public, but translated that into policy consequences, changing 2 decades-old American stance of facilitating and accommodating China's economic rise to one of countering and containing the dragon.
Over the last 2 decades, but those days are over. We will no longer tolerate such abuse. We will not allow our workers to be victimized.
Trump's India relations must be seen in the context of that China shift. He revived the defunct Quad grouping in 2018. In geostrategic sense, this was a substantial upgrade on optics for India's positioning in the Committee of Nations. It was under Trump that the Pacific Command of the US Defense Forces was renamed as Indo-Pacific Command, emphasizing the pivot to India. Resuscitating Quad and making Indo-Pacific a catchphrase gave such FOMO to European powers that from the United Kingdom to Germany, from France to Italy, everyone came out with their own Indo-Pacific strategy papers. With India as a pivot for this strategic space, New Delhi saw a visible upgrade in travel itineraries, becoming a more frequent pit stop for global diplomacy. Trump's NATO skepticism and judgment-neutral views on Putin also mean that India would get a larger breathing space to nurture its Russia partnership without bothering about an ideological hectoring which has sort of peaked after PM Modi's Moscow visit last month. We have seen Biden administration making it a prestige issue with innumerable briefings where unhappiness has been conveyed. There was a minor tiff with the US Ambassador Eric Garcetti in New Delhi when he responded to MEA's espousal of a strategic autonomy on Modi-Putin hug by suggesting that there is no strategic autonomy in a war. Clearly, believing that Europe's war is everybody's war and that India is already considered a party was Garcetti's ideological position. Sometimes those pinpricks have turned farcical. Like on Thursday, when a Pakistani reporter sought US State Department views on the Yogi government's Kavar Yatra Diktat in Uttar Pradesh, and the visibly clueless spokesperson obliged with an answer, albeit with restraints.
We have seen those reports. We have also seen the reports that the Indian Supreme Court on July 22nd issued an interim stay on the implementation of those rules, so they're not actually in effect now, with our Indian counterparts on the importance of equal treatment for members of all religious communities.
These kinds of hectoring, lecturing, pontificating, holier-than-thou approaches to conducting diplomacy with India would obviously taper off under Trump.
They'll charge you like 250% tariff. We don't want it. Then you get an invite. Build your plant over here. So these companies, they go over there. Harley Davidson did it in India. They couldn't sell. They had a 200% tariff on motorbikes. I had them in the office in the White House.
But as that Michigan speech showed, Trump has not forgotten India's tariff walls. If elected, he might come hard on them in his second term. But it would not be different from earlier, when he came double hard on China and rest of the world. So on trade, it would be a closely watched space. Even here, a lot has changed since Trump passed on the baton, however reluctantly, to Biden in 2021. We are in a post-COVID world with strong linkages, but stronger disruptions. 2 current wars in Europe and the Middle East, and half a dozen flashpoints from Armenia, Azerbaijan to China, India, and China, Philippines, and China, Taiwan mean that scope for an all-out trade war is limited for America also. A reluctant trading partner, India, is much better than a thieving China, is the Trump worldview. Connected with trade is the issue of visas, the H-1B holy grail for India's IT industry. The disruptions on that front have become secular between Republicans and Democrats. What Trump might deny loudly was done by Biden surreptitiously, blaming the slow bureaucracy for the application pileup. If Trump comes down heavy on illegal migration from the southern borders of the United States, why should it be a diplomacy concern for us? Kamala, on the other hand, never built the wall, never been to the wall. If anything, her visa denials might put her open to the charge of double standards, given the liberal Democrats' position on open borders and accommodating illegals as deep as New York and Chicago. With increasing economic power, China is also a military threat, which of course India is not. In a way, India's evolving relationship with the United States has a bipartisan consensus on both the Capitol Hill and the Raisina Hill. From Clinton to Biden, DC has seen India's rise as being in America's interest. Trump only continued the uptick in US-India relations, minus the preachiness of some Democrat presidencies. The only catch: while Trump might come hard on China on issues of trade and technology, his insularity might make the United States less inclined to intervene on Taiwan in case of a Chinese military maneuver. And that might make India dig in deeper trenches in Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh. But we cross the bridge when it comes. Republicans and Democrats have divergent views on climate change, from Bush Jr. versus Al Gore in early 2000s to Trump versus John Kerry now. Not that Kerry, Biden's special emissary on climate change, has been very effective in the absence of climate finance. But a Kamala presidency would continue to push a global effort to respect carbon neutral deadlines at the very least. In case of a Trump return, expect climate change to petter off the missionary mode mechanisms of the US, not just for India, but for the rest of the world as well. Whatever we are doing on green energy transition would have to have an internal mojo, minus the American push. There's an innate commitment in Prime Minister Modi to drive policy and governance to tackle climate change. A Biden-Harris push is good in the sense that it helps connect that internalized commitment with financial support. We would do fine even without. If you believe the social media echo chamber, Kamala Harris is more left than liberal. Many of her videos from the past project a picture of her as representing a kind of wokeism which makes even liberal pro-Democrat party commentators like Bill Maher cringe. A Harris presidency might make those irritable American interventions on human rights, climate, social harmony, secularism, pluralism, minority rights, gay rights, LGBTQIA rights little more pronounced.
I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit.
But let me share an anecdote from Prime Minister Modi's first Biden-Harris meeting in the autumn of 2021 in Washington, D.C. I was covering from the ground. The general impression that the Indian entourage carried to the White House was that Biden would be easy. Kamala, with her hard left swing, would be more difficult. By the time the two meetings ended, the view changed completely. According to those accompanying the Prime Minister, it was Biden who went off tangent a couple of times, while the conversation with Kamala ended up being the one without creases. If politics makes strange bedfellows, diplomacy throws stranger surprises. So we can only second guess who between Trump and Kamala would be better for India. Ultimately, an American president has to be good to America. Being good to India can only be a corollary to that overarching thought. We have to carve out our own trajectory, taking into account both the possibilities. Democrat President Clinton was an NPT Ayatollah. He tried unsuccessfully to arm twist P.V. Narasimha Rao to sign on the dotted line so that we could never become a nuclear power. Post the Shakti tests by the Vajpayee government, once the bluff and bluster of sanctions had petered out, same Clinton started India's dehyphenation with Pakistan in American foreign policy. His Republican successor, George W. Bush Jr., made the civil nuclear deal possible. Imagine, the United States amended a domestic law of 1954 to make the 123 agreement possible to end India's nuclear apartheid. Obama years saw India firmly in American arc with major strides in trade and defense cooperation. It was Obama who called the India-US relationship one of the defining partnerships of the 21st century. Obama also became the first US president to openly endorse India's bid for permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Trump and Biden maintain the bipartisan consensus, and irrespective of who wins in November, the United States-India relationship remains evenly poised. Thanks for watching.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
आगे भूल जाऊंगी, उन्हें मां को नहीं मैं भूल सकती, क्योंकि मेरा एक ही बेटा था।
उसी मैदान में हूँ जहाँ मैंने आज से 24 साल पहले लड़ाई लड़ी।
लोग जब इस दुनिया से जाते हैं वैसे भी कोई कुछ लेके नहीं जाता, लेकिन ये लोग ऐसे हैं जो कुछ दे के गए।
This peace in Kargil Valley has not come for free. In the summer of 1999, the tranquil valleys of Kargil echoed with the roars of our Jawans.
मैंने आंखों से देखा, मैंने रिपोर्ट दिया।
फौज को साथ हम इधर से वॉलंटियर हम 2 आदमी गया,
उसमें देखा तो कोई 6 बंदे नजर आए मेरे को।
हम फौज को साथ 2 महीने बैठा, 2 महीना।
It was here where 2 shepherds happened to spot the Pakistani intruders, and that marked the beginning of the Kargil War.
कारगिल युद्ध को 25 साल हो गए। सबसे पहले तो बटालिक यहीं से शुरू हुआ था, तो आपने देखा है खुद?
जी मैंने खुद देखा है। सबसे पहले तो मैं जू लेकर हूँ, तो नमस्कार। सबसे पहले 99 को शुरू में हम 2 भाई, हम दोनों भाई सक्का भाई है, एक ही माँ का। हम इस गाँव को नाले गया था, गरकुन गाँव को नाला।
तो ये 99 में 2 की बात है नीरज जी। तो मैं 99 में तो मेरा यहाँ गुम हुआ, तो मैं यहाँ को देखने के लिए नाले में गया था, गरकुन नाले में।
उधर देखने के लिए गया तो हम ऊपर बरारू काफ़ी दूर गया, सुबह गया था। तो मेरे पास दूरबीन था, हम बैल बकरी ढूंढते गया तो बैल बकरी तो हमको आसानी से मिल गया।
तो ऊपर तो बर्फ पड़ा हुआ था, तो नीचे तो हरियाली घास निकला हुआ था। तो हमने देखते देखते गया तो हमारा एक बंजू टोप है बोलता है, उसमें देखा तो कोई 6 बंदर नजर आए मेरे को।
तो बर्फ में पेड़ लगे हुआ था बहुत, ऊपर से नीचे, नीचे से ऊपर, ऊपर से नीचे आते हैं। तो हमने देखा तो आर्मी का है। तो उधर देखा तो बंजू में युवर हिल में तो उधर बिमकर बना रहा था, आदमी देखा मैंने।
तो फिर मैं वापस आ गया, तो वहाँ एक ब्रिज था, तो वहाँ कोई बंदे जवान बैठता था, 3 पंजाब यूनिट थे तो इधर। तो मैं उधर ब्रिज में गया तो मैंने रिपोर्ट दिया।
उनको हमने बताया इस तरह ऊपर कोई आदमी देखा, आदमी है बोल के। तो हमारे साथ आया वो लोग आके और उसी जगह पर लेके उनको दिखाया। तो दिखा के आया, उनको पूरा पता हो गया, देख लिया।
मैंने रिपोर्ट देने के बाद 8 दिन में लड़ाई शुरू हुई।
It was a short-lived thaw in stormy relations between India and Pakistan when Atal Bihari Vajpayee took a bus to Lahore in 1999 and hugged his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif, leaving an enduring image that symbolized hope in bilateral ties.
On May 28, 1998, Pakistan conducted 5 nuclear tests, significantly changing the regional power dynamics. On February 21, 1999, the Lahore Declaration was signed between Nawaz Sharif and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. This all happened after the historic bus ride of Atal Bihari Vajpayee to Lahore. Even when both the leaders shook their hands, the Pakistani soldiers and its intruders were already occupying Indian heights in Ladakh.
However, this bonhomie between India and Pakistan did not last long, as just months after the visit, the Pakistani troops undertook a covert operation to send its troops into Kargil, led by its architect, Parvez Musharraf.
Pakistan Army Chief General Parvez Musharraf focused strategy was seizing and dominating heights that are overlooking Srinagar, Kargil, Ladakh route, because these were the heights that were left unattended by the Indian soldiers in winters. General Musharraf's plan was to cut the communications line in Ladakh and also to push infiltrators in the Kashmir Valley. Indian anticipation led to the early reopening of Zojila Pass, and by 3rd week of June, Indian reinforcement turned the tide in favor of India.
The Kargil War, a testament to valor and sacrifice, forever etched its story in the annals of India's military history. It was because of brave hearts like General V.P. Malik, whose leadership during Operation Vijay was instrumental.
General Ved Prakash Malik, the Chief of Army Staff then, led the Operation Vijay to defeat Pakistani intrusion in 1999. General Prakash focused more on military tactics that includes infantry assault, artillery fire, then effective supplies, intelligence use, and also aerial support.
His strategic acumen and steadfast command galvanized our forces to reclaim every inch of our land.
Man who needs no introduction, then Army Chief General Malik. Thank you so much for talking to Republic General Malik. When you received the news that there is some attempt being made, because that information had come through Shepherd, What was the plan of action? How you planned the entire 3 months back?
You know, we were not expecting this kind of intrusion, because just 2 months earlier we had signed the Lahore Declaration, our Prime Minister with their Prime Minister. So politically situation was, the intelligence reports that were given to the armed forces, they did not indicate that Pakistan Army intends to or is capable of waging a war against us. So it took some time for us to get to know the real situation and the intention of the Pakistan Army. I would say about 5 or 6 weeks. But thereafter, once we got to know, then we addressed the situation with much greater vigor and with much greater josh, and you saw the results at the end of it.
Animal transport too played a crucial role in the war. In fact, their unit of mules also received an army unit citation. Amidst the chaos of war, tales of resilience remain immortal. Local eyewitnesses reflect on the turbulent days when Dras became a theatre of conflict. They narrate tales of resilience, highlighting civilian hardships and acts of bravery.
What happened in this war? So many untold stories. To know about those stories, I'm joined by the locals of Dras. नज़ीर साहब, आप लोकल हैं द्रास के, आपने कारगिल वॉर अपनी आंखों से देखा है, लोगों की मदद की है, तो कुछ बताएंगे इस वॉर के बारे में?
जी, मुझे बोला कि यहाँ सीओ साहब बुला रहे हैं, तो हम नीचे गए सीओ साहब के पास। तो सीओ साहब ने बोला हमारे तोलोलिंग एरिया में और हमारे एलसी एरिया में कुछ मिलिटेंट्स घुस आए हैं, यानी हमें मालूम नहीं था कि वो पाकिस्तानी आर्मी है। बाद में हमें, जब मैं लड़ाई में गाइड रहा, तो उस वक्त मुझे पता चला कि ये सारी आर्मी थी पाकिस्तान की, न कि कोई मिलिटेंट था। उस वक्त का हमारा जो एसडीएम द्रास था, नायब तहसीलदार था या एसडीएम था, निज़ामी साहब थे, उन्होंने काफ़ी मदद किया और हमारे लोगों को मशकू साइड ले गए। बहुत सारे लोगों को पहले मशकू की तरफ ले गए। जब मशकू साइड में ले गए तो मशकू साइड में जो अभी हम बत्रा टॉप बोलते हैं, वहाँ पे पाकिस्तान की डिफेंस बहुत मजबूत बनी हुई थी। वहाँ से उन्होंने हमारे ऊपर जो है फायर किया, यानी सिविलियन के ऊपर टारगेट बनाए। तो उसके बाद हमारे लोग कारगिल की तरफ भाग गए। और बाकी मैं खुद जो था ऊपर था, मैं लास्ट काफ़ी टाइम तक मैं रहा, आर्मी के साथ रहा और मैंने गाइड का काम किया।
आप यहाँ थे उस वक्त?
हम जनाब थे इधर ही। यहाँ पर जनाब बिल्कुल है, वहाँ पाकिस्तान से गोले आ गए। गोले आने के बावजूद में पूरा हमारा जितने भी परिवार थे वो चला गया। जहाँ निजामी साहब और जनाब हमारा ये क्या कहते हैं बाजी साहब एडी से था, वहाँ कारगिल से गाड़ी भेजी, उन्होंने वहाँ से निकाल दिया हमारा 7 लोगों को। जितना भी माल मवेशी था वो छोड़ कर चला गया, जितना माल मवेशी सब छोड़ कर चला गया। बाद में कुत्तों ने खाया। माल मवेशी के दरवाजे खुले हो गए थे, दरवाजों के अंदर कुछ मुद्री मर गया था, बहुत सारे माल मवेशी। तब से हमारे जितने भी ज़मींदार तबका के बेड़ी वो ख़त्म हो गया, माल भी ख़त्म हो गया। फिर हमने यहाँ आकर के अपना आदमी के साथ दे दिया, घोड़े चलाया, आदमी के साथ दे दिया, मशीन निकाला, हम पूरा यहाँ अपने एरिया में चला गया, जिसको मुतदरंग भी बोलते हैं और क्या कहते हैं ये अलसी भी बोलते हैं एक साइड को, ऐसे हम मरपुला भी बोलते हैं। उस साइड से हमारे लोगों ने पूरा मदद किया आदमी के साथ।
तो जब ये गोले गिरते थे ना
जनाब,
तो कैसा माहौल?
बहुत माहौल बन गया, डरते थे गोले आकर के। ऐसा निकलते थे उनसे सिलेंडर, उनके सिलेंडर के साथ वो आग के गोले आते थे, शोले पड़ जाते थे। लास्ट में जब हम वहाँ से हम ये अगस्त को आ गया, फिर भी हमारे कुछ बेड़ू लेकर बच्चे गए वहाँ से पाकिस्तान गोले के गोला हाथ में उठाया, उन्होंने 2 वहाँ शहीद हो गए हमारे अपने बच्चे, अपना वही रिश्तेदार का गोल बच्चे हमारे इस पहाड़ी में। और उस्मान 2 मर गए वहाँ, तीसरा बाल बच गया।
आप बताइए, आप उस वक्त आपकी एज क्या रही होगी जब कारगिल वॉर हुई?
मेरी एज तब 14-15 साल थी। तो जैसे हम बोले कि मास्को भाग गए, जैसे तो 5-6 दिन वहाँ पे रह गए। तो उसके बाद वहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा सीलिंग आ गया, तो वापस ही हमें बोला कि कारगिल जाना है। तो गाड़ी भी नहीं मिली, बहुत भीड़ थी, कोई यहाँ वहाँ भाग रहा था। तो मेरे परिवार में मतलब मेरे ख़ानदान पे 18 लोग थे हम साथ पे। तो यहाँ पे मारपोछू बोलते हैं, ब्रिज है यहाँ पे। तो उस साइड पूरी आर्मी की कार्रवाई लगी हुई थी और मैं सबसे आगे में ही था। मैं अपनी छोटी बहन को तब वो 8-9 महीने की थी, तो मम्मी बीमार थी, घोड़े पे चढ़ी हुई थी, तो लड़की को बच्ची को मैं लेके था और सबसे आगे में था। तो मेरे को आर्मी वाले ने हाथ दिया, बोला यहाँ आओ जल्दी जल्दी। तो एक्चुअली वो मेरे को इस साइड जल्दी और फायर आ रही इसलिए बुला रहा था। वो मेरे को डर लगा कि वो तो मेरे को ले जाएगा पकड़ के। तो मैं वहीं ब्रिज के ठीक वहीं पर रह गया। तो मेरे चारों तरफ 8 गोले लग गए। उसके बाद फिर मैं निकल गया यहाँ से शॉर्टकट रास्ते से निकल गए। फिर मैं अपने घर आ गया और उसके नेक्स्ट टाइम फिर पूरी परिवार गई और मैं और पापा यहाँ पर रहे। उसके बाद हमें पकड़ के ले गया ऊपर, ये अभी 5140 PT पॉइंट बोलते हैं, वहाँ पे 15-20 दिन में घोड़े चलाया पापा के साथ। रात को अंधेरे में अम्नेशन रोते थे, खाना लेते थे, यही काम किया।
तो अब आप बताइए कि जब कितनी मुश्किलात हो गए थे एक आम इंसान के लिए जीना, जहाँ एक तरह से गोलाबारी है, ये वहाँ फैमिली का कुछ पता नहीं है, खाना पीना कैसे मैनेज हुआ उन दिनों, ज़िंदगी कैसे चली?
उस वक्त दिन को तो हमको बहुत डरता था। रात को इतना डरने की ज़रूरत नहीं थी क्योंकि गोला आने के लिए नज़र आ रहा था, कहाँ गिरता है, कहाँ क्या करता है। दिन को तो पूछो, दिन को तो हम घर से बाहर निकलते ही नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं निकलते। पेट था, बकरी सब ऐसे छोड़ के थे भाई। बाकी बाहर अगर रात को जाने के लिए तो बहुत मुश्किल था, दिन को भी जाने के लिए मुश्किल था। दाएं बाएं थोड़ा इतना जाने के बाद फोश आ जाता, भाई आप कहाँ गए? बोलते सर यहीं का ये है। आप आपका ठेकेदार यहाँ का नंबरदार मतलब वो भाग गया, नंबरदार तो यहाँ रहा नहीं। बोलता नंबरदार हमको नहीं बताया, किसी ने नहीं बताया, उसने नहीं बताया। फिर भी ऐसे बार रात दिन भर छुप के हमने अपना दिन खाना पीना बस जो घर में है बस वहीं खाया। कभी सत्तू, कभी पानी के साथ सत्तू, कभी ऐसे बकरा, ऐसे दिन बगैर वो निकला ही नहीं। बस रात को थोड़ा हमको शान आता था क्योंकि गोला उधर से आ रहा था, कहीं भी लगता था नजर आ रहा। रात को तो पूछो मैं, मेरे ख्याल से सुबह से शाम तक 1000 गोले भी।
It wasn't just the senior leadership that won us the war. It was also the innumerable sacrifices made by the junior leaderships and ranks.
Kargil War Memorial is located here at the base of Tololing Hill, one of the main battlefields during the conflict. Kargil War Memorial is just not the tribute to the past, rather it's a reminder of courage that defines us and the spirit that unites us. Vijay Path that leads you to the massive sandstone wall that bears the name of all those Indian soldiers who sacrificed their life for nation. Here soldiers, the heroes like Captain Vikram Batra are immortalized. Their courage, their story of valor is inspiring generations. His call for the victory, Ye Dil Mange More, rings loud and clear in the war memorial. It's the 25th anniversary of Kargil Vijay Divas. So many stories are yet to be told, and we are yet being joined by some of the heroes who have their own way of narrating the things, talking about the war, about their company commanders. They were even awarded Veer Chakra. I'm joined by Subedar Meher Singh, who was a part of 13 Jakraf and was awarded Veer Chakra being part of this battle between India and Pakistan. सिंह साहब, आप ये बताइए, 13 जैकरेफ के आप पार्ट थे, तो उस वक्त का जो माहौल था, जो युद्ध का माहौल था, तो क्या देखने को मिला? आपके कंपनी कमांडर भी रहे हैं, जो एक नॉन फेस आगे जाके बने, तो उस युद्ध के बारे में बताइए।
हाँ, उस युद्ध के बारे में एक्चुअली हमारी पलटन CICT सोपर के इलाके में थे, तो अचानक कारगिल के हालात ख़राब होने के कारण हमारी पलटन को भी ऑपरेशन विजय में भाग लेने का सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ। तो 6 जून 1999 को हम घुमरी नाम जगह के ऊपर पहुँचे और 12 तारीख को यहीं पे हम द्रास अटैक के हेडक्वार्टर में पहुँचे। तो यहाँ से हमने 13 जून सूर्योदय होने से पहले टोलोलिंग पहाड़ी की तरफ चलना आरम्भ किया और पूरा दिन चलने के पश्चात शाम को हमने वहाँ पर टोराज पताना राइफल को चेंज किया और उसके बाद हमारी ब्रेवो कंपनी और डेल्टा कंपनी को .540 पर हमला करने का टास्क दिया गया। तो 19 जून सुबह हमने जो है टोलोलिंग पहाड़ी से चलना आरंभ किया। पूरा दिन चलने के पश्चात जो है सुबह हम रॉकी नॉब के ऊपर पहुँचे। वहाँ पर हमने बिना खाए पिए पूरा दिन बिताया और लास्ट लाइट होते ही हमने .540 पर चलना स्टार्ट किया। पूरी रात चलने के पश्चात सुबह हमने दुर्गे माता का नारा पुकारते हुए .5140 को अपने कब्जे में लिया। वहाँ पर बत्रा साहब ने सक्सेस सिग्नल दिया, ये दिल मांगे मोर। हमारे कमांडिंग ऑफिसर उस टाइम लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल बाईके जोशी साहब थे, उनको जो है सक्सेस सिग्नल ये दिल मांगे मोर दिया।
सिंह जी, क्या उस युद्ध के दौरान आपको कोई ऐसा एपिसोड याद है जो आज भी आपके जहन से जा नहीं रहा?
जब जैसे कि लास्ट जो हमने 7 जुलाई को लाइजेरिया लिया था, तो वहाँ पे बत्रा साहब की शहादत हुई। वो मंजर अभी तक हमें जो आंखों के सामने ही है कि बत्रा साहब आज भी हमारे बीच में ही है। उस टाइम सुबह सुबह उन्होंने अर्ली मॉर्निंग ग्रेनेड फेंका था, तो जो है एक हमारा जवान जख्मी हो गया था और बत्रा साहब जो है उनकी ईंट से ईंट बजाने के लिए आगे निकल गया और दुश्मन के 5 सैनिकों को उनके मौत के घाट उतारा और हमने तुरंत जो है उनके ऊपर एक्शन किया और उनके एक ऑफिसर एक जैसे 14 जवानों को मार गिराया।
जब आपने बत्रा साहब को खून में लथपथ देखा तो किस तरह का सीन था?
उस टाइम हमारा खून खोल गया कि जो है हमारे जो है कंपनी कमांडर साहब थे बत्रा साहब, उनकी शहादत हो चुकी थी, तो हमने उनका बदला लेने के लिए तुरंत जो है उनकी ईंट से ईंट बजाने का निर्णय ले लिया और उनके ऊपर दावा पुकारा और लाइजेरिया को अपने कब्जे में लिया।
It wasn't just the families of these soldiers, but also an entire nation that was standing behind our brave hearts. The same brave hearts who made unthinkable sacrifices.
This is exactly when the nation joined hands to be part of this war fought between India and Pakistan. A grateful nation to its soldiers, but what motivated the soldiers to be part of this war, to keep going despite the challenges. So this is what the soldiers would get during those days. In one of the pictures, one can see the sisters in arms that tells you about the Rakhis that were being sent to these soldiers from different parts of the country to motivate them to evict those Pakistani intruders. Then we see a hero welcome was given, and when soldiers were returning from the Kargil, and the kind of gratitude that had come from different parts of the country, from different people, from all walks of life, from ladies, from kids, because in one of the posters here one can see the school children. They are trying to uplift the spirit of the soldiers at war. So we see the letters that these soldiers are receiving. Similarly, we seeing that the Zara Yaad Karo Kurbani. It is a public prayer meet that was held to pay homage to those soldiers who lost their life in action. Then again, countless blessings were coming through the recitation of Quran. So you can see it is a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh Ittihad. So we are seeing the unity from all corners.
While the Mashko Valley has its own strategic importance, it is the Dras sector that oversees the Leh National Highway.
I'm joined by Barkat Ali Nizami, who then was Naib Tehsildar and later retired as ADC. निज़ामी साहब, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया रिपब्लिक से बात करने के लिए। सर, आप उन दिनों नए नए यहाँ आए थे नायब तहसीलदार के पोस्ट पर, तो क्या माहौल रहा जब मशकों में ये पता चला कि एक वॉर स्टार्ट हुई है, इन्फिल्ट्रेशन हुआ है? आप उन चीज़ों के गवाह हैं।
जी, मैं उस 99 करगिल वार का बिल्कुल आई विटनेस हूँ। ये 13 मई का दिन था जब मैंने ज्वाइन किया, तो वहाँ से गोलाबारी स्टार्ट हो गई।
तो पहला गोला कहाँ पर गिरा? पहला
गोला जो आप द्रास बाज़ार आपने देखा है, द्रास बाज़ार के एकदम में अपोजिट में जो गांव है लमुचन और भ्यारस, वहाँ जब ऊपर से गोले लगते रहे, तो फिर जब गोलों की आवाज़ सुना तो लोग डर के निकलने लगे। जी, माइग्रेशन हो गया जी, बिल्कुल। बस अब पता चला कि अब कुछ न कुछ होने वाला है बड़ा सख्त, तो लोग निकल गए। जब लोग निकल गए तो फिर मैंने उसी दिन ज्वाइन किया था। मैंने उन लोगों को यहाँ मुश्को, होलियाल, इन जगहों में भेज दिया, क्योंकि यहाँ तब तक गोले शोले नहीं आते थे। यहाँ से फिर हमने 3 दिन के बाद यहाँ भी जब गोले लगे तो फिर करगिल भेज दिया।
अच्छा, ये मशको जो है यहाँ आर्मी ने बेस बनाया हुआ था, आर्मी के कैंप थे, आर्मी के सोल्जर्स भी यहाँ बैठे थे?
नहीं था, मुश्को में सोल्जर नहीं थे। बेस कैंप बनाया था 18 ग्रेनेडियर ने यहाँ होलियाल में, वो जो यहाँ से जाकर दूसरा गांव है वहाँ था। वहाँ खुशहाल ठाकुर साहब वो सीओ थे, बाद में ब्रिगेडियर बनकर भी इधर आए थे यहाँ द्रास में, वो हिमाचल के थे। मेरा तो इनसे कांटेक्ट रहता था अक्सर दिन रात, तो वो वहाँ बेस कैंप थे। उन्होंने ही, उसी खुशहाल ठाकुर ने ही टाइगर हिल को कब्जा किया। 2 दफ़ा उसने अटैक किया, 2 दफ़ा नाकाम हुआ। तीसरी दफ़ा क्या हो गया कि हेलीकॉप्टर के ज़रिए वहाँ वो पेट्रोल बम गिराया गया। हाँ, 2 रात जलते रहा टाइगर हिल, रात 2 रातें, बस फिर जाकर उसने वहाँ।
आपको याद है कि जो टोलो लिंक को वापस कब्जे में ले लिया या टाइगर हिल को लिया, इसकी मेमोरीज है कि क्या उस वक्त कैसी सीन थे, किस तरह से वापस लिया गया?
मैं कह रहा हूँ ना आपको, 2 दफ़ा अटैक किया 18 ग्रेनेडियर ने। 18 ग्रेनेडियर ने 2 दफ़ा जब अटैक कर दिया टाइगर हिल पर, तो 2 दफ़ा नाकाम रहे, क्योंकि वहाँ पाकिस्तान की आर्मी भी थी। फिर जब ये जो हेलीकॉप्टर के ज़रिए से पेट्रोल बम वगैरह छोड़े गए वहाँ, उससे वो शायद कुछ भाग गए, कुछ मर गए। तो फिर बाद में वहाँ से फायरिंग आना बंद हो गया, नीचे से 18 ग्रेनेडियर ने जाकर कब्जा किया टाइगर हिल को। अकॉर्डिंगली टोलोलिंग हिल्स में भी ऐसा ही हुआ। टोलोलिंग हिल्स में भी ऐसा हुआ, बहुत कैजुअल्टीज़ हो गई। हमारे यहाँ की भी कैजुअल्टीज़ बहुत हो गई, उनकी भी बहुत कैजुअल्टीज़ हो गई।
The army fought against the restraint of not crossing the international boundary. To say that rugged terrain and harsh weather conditions in Kargil region are challenging is an understatement.
Now we see that hut of remembrance has been created here by Indian Army here at War Memorial in Dras. This is the exact picture of this hut of remembrance where they have put the machinery that was recovered from the Pakistani soldiers, that describes the war in detail, the scenes that were captured. See, as we go to this library, you see the rocket grenade launchers are there, and these are the ones, the sprinters of the enemy bombs that they have been called here. Similarly, we see the mittens, the snow mittens, then the radio equipments have also been installed. But yes, a bigger weapon that one can see in this hut of remembrance is heavy mortar. So this very heavy mortar has also been placed here. Then we see the Pakistani flag that was captured during the Kargil war.
But on 26th of July, 1999, the steep, rugged mountains and the weather were least of our forces' concerns. The world watched with eyes wide open when artillery like the Bofors gave the Indian Army a much-needed thrust in the Kargil war. While India's military prowess turned on the heat on the Pakistani infiltrators, it was also the swift evacuation ops of aviation and air force that turned the tide in India's favor. The synchronization of our brave hearts on land, in the air and in water is what led to the successful recapture of Batalik and other occupied sectors by Indian forces, which was a turning point in the Kargil war.
This is one such picture of the war where you see that three service, whether it's Army, Navy and Air Force, because all three services were part of this Kargil war of 1999. So the effort that had come from all three services, and finally that effort turned them victorious when they are holding the tricolor here on the peaks of this Kargil.
Even as the war ended, our forces showed the utmost respect for not just the Indian soldiers who were killed in the line of duty, but also the dead Pakistani soldiers. The same dead soldiers that were left behind by their own troops.
When Pakistan denied the body of their own people, they were given decent burial by the Indian Army soldiers. So you can see the pictures of the burial that is taking place here. Then the enemy was laid to rest, which talks about the victory of India.
Cremating the dead Pakistani soldiers, the Indian forces made one thing very clear. India will not be the one to start a war, but it will be the one to end it.
Right now we are at 13620 point. It's one of the vintage points and the strategically very important point, as it overlooks entire Kargil town and also Srinagar Ladakh highway, historically contested between India and Pakistan. It changed hands many times, notably between 1965 and 1971. The vintage points here tells you the history of the entire place, because strategically it's a magnificent view from the operational point of view, and then the location provides a crucial vantage point for the military operations and regional security, offering commanding view of this very surrounding terrain. Point 13620 is also named after Major Randhawa. You see Major Randhawa's statue is here, who was part of war in 1965. In June 2023, Ladakh administration in collaboration with Indian Army opened this point for tourists. So tourism boost, border tourism boost, the decision that has come from the highest quarters to boost the tourism in the Ladakh region.
The once battle-scarred Batalik sector now stands as a symbol of resilience. Captain Manoj Pandey Stadium, named in honor of a hero who made the ultimate sacrifice, today echoes with cheers of children playing, a tribute to those who secured their future.
From war zone to game zone. Yes, we are in Batalik, and this is Captain Manoj Pandey Stadium, and this was created by Indian Army to pay tributes to the fallen soldiers. Now the area Batalik that has seen the war between India and Pakistan in 1999, which we know as Kargil War, and this soldier fought bravely, courageously, and he also earned highest military award, that is Paramveer Chakra, posthumous. Now we are seeing that in order to pay tributes and to immortalize the soul of Captain Manoj Pandey, the Indian Army has come up with this stadium, and this is in Batalik sector.
Not just cricket stadiums, but radio stations too stand as testaments of time.
Kargil, where communication was a bigger issue at one point in time, but now we see that the infrastructure development has definitely given a boost to this very region, and the locals have started community radio giving message, circulating messages, and it has reached to a larger audience. What is their message, what is the agenda, and how they are catering to the needs of the local population where it was difficult for them to reach from one corner to other, but now you just have to knock the door, come inside this radio station, give your message, and it will reach to your loved ones. We are seeing the younger generation from the Ladakh have started this project, and I'm joined by the radio jockey who's doing his role here. Tell me about it. कैसा काम चल रहा है?
तो सबसे पहले तो आप सभी का स्वागत करते हैं रेडियो उर्गासम 90.8 FM पर। तो मैम, अगर रेडियो की बात करें, इस रेडियो स्टेशन की बात करें, तो इंडियन आर्मी का तो पहले शुक्रगुजार है कि इंडियन आर्मी की तरफ से ही ये पॉसिबल हुआ है कि करगिल में भी एक कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन खुल चुका है। 2 साल हो चुके हैं इस कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन को खुल के, और इस 2 साल में बहुत सारी चीज़ें लोगों को हमने यहाँ से यानी पहुँचाए हैं, जिसमें हमारे लोगों के इंटरव्यूज़ हो, बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें जो करगिल ने अभी तक आज तक नहीं सुना था उसके बारे में हो। और अभी 25वीं सालगिरह जो करगिल विजय दिवस का चल रहा है, उसके प्री केवडी जितने भी इवेंट्स हुए हैं हमने उसको कवर करके लोगों तक पहुँचाएँ, क्योंकि हमारे कुछ ऐसे हीरोज़ थे जिनके अननोन स्टोरीज़ आज तक करगिल के लोगों को पता नहीं था। खासकर हमारे जो न्यू जनरेशन है उस तक हम यहाँ से पहुँचाने की कोशिश करते हैं। यहाँ इस रेडियो का जो टाइमिंग जो है वो सुबह 8 बजे से चलते हैं रात के 8 बजे तक, तो कंटिन्यू इस यानी 3 स्लॉट में चलते हैं, 12 घंटे के प्रोग्राम चलते हैं।
तो किस तरह की डिमांड्स आती है लोकल से?
तो लोकल से डिमांड यही आते हैं कि ये कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन जो है कम्युनिटी के हिसाब से चलते हैं, क्योंकि हम ज़्यादातर यहाँ के कल्चर जो है, यहाँ के लैंग्वेज जो है उसको ज़्यादा प्रेफर देते हैं, और ख़ासकर यूथ के अलग प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं, वुमेंस के अलग प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं जो हमारे आरजे फरीदा चलाती है, वो खुद मेडिकल फील्ड से, तो बहुत सारे ऐसे इंटरव्यूज़ होते हैं जिससे हमारे कम्युनिटी को फ़ायदा हो।
25 years on, The sacrifice of our Jawans, our brave hearts who reclaimed our land for us with their blood, has put Kargil on a path of unprecedented development.
Kargil War of 1999 that highlighted the need for reliable connectivity in Jammu and Kashmir. Zojila Tunnel between Srinagar and Ladakh plays an important part, and it addresses the issues which will provide all-weather route connectivity to swift military movement. And once this tunnel is completed, it will give year-long access, and it will reduce the fuel costs, and also the timing will be reduced across Zojila Pass from 4 hours to 15 minutes. This Zojila tunnel is one of the Asia's longest tunnel, and once completed it will enhance connectivity and military efficiency, and it also plays a vital role for strategic links between Ladakh and Srinagar.
Today, the journey from Srinagar to Kargil has transformed drastically. A topography that once hindered military movements now stand testament to India's progress in infrastructure. Improved roads and connectivity ensured our troops reached safely and swiftly. A stark contrast to the arduous paths of the past.
During the War of Kargil in 1999, road posed a bigger challenge between Srinagar and Kargil. Those days there was a rough terrain, the rugged terrain, in fact the difficult conditions, and most of the times what would happen that the logistics supply would get hampered, which was critical for the military troops. Then we would see that the troop movement and also the supply of goods would get stuck for days. They would go through arduous journey. But now we see the shift in the complete infrastructure, a boost to the infrastructure that has transformed the entire region. Now we see the motorable roads that has enhanced the connectivity and also reduced the travel time for the troops and for the civilians between Srinagar and Ladakh.
India has not just triumphed the Kargil War, but has also come a long way in strengthening our military might. The technological marvels like Apache and Cheetah helicopters and Akash missiles ensure swift military responses to safeguard our borders and our skies.
Behind me one can see Apache. Apache, one of the most advanced attack helicopter that the India at present has, having some 24 in number, though India has ordered 6 more such ones, because this is one of the best that India has presently to deal in case there is any emergency. As far as this machine is concerned, the Apache has a tandem cockpit for 2 persons equipped with a nose-mounted sensor suit for target acquisition and night vision system. So this machine has also a night vision system. As far as it has 30 mm automatic cannon located under the fuselage. Then we are seeing a Hellfire machine, Hydra 70 rocket pods, Stingers, then target acquisition and designation system is there, the pilot night vision system is there, longbow radar is there, and the Apache is built with a high degree of redundancy and the crash worthiness. It features armor protection for the crew and vital system, equipped with advanced electronic countermeasures to evade any enemy radar and missile threat. It is versatile machine as it can perform a wide range of missions, including the close air support, anti-tank warfare, recce's and escort duties. Its ability to operate in diverse environments from deserts to jungles to urban areas makes it versatile asset for a military force. It's the 25th year of Kargil Vijay Divas, and the entire country is paying tributes to the fallen soldiers. How the Kargil war turned in favor of India. Apart from the men on ground, those who were climbing this tough terrain, the rugged terrain, we have seen the support that was given through different machines, light and heavy machines. When we talk about the light machines, this is one such machine. This is Cheetah helicopter. This is a single machine that was used by Indian Army for the recce of the terrain to gather the more intelligence about the enemies. As my VJ Firdos is showing the visuals of this machine, you can see that it's a single engine machine and it has air-to-air communication, air-to-land communication, and the capability to hover and maneuver at high altitudes allowed it to provide real-time information which was critical for planning ground assault and artillery strikes. Cheetal helicopters was instrumental in transporting supplies, ammunition, equipments to forward posts and troops stationed in remote and difficult to access areas. It facilitated the rapid movement of essential items, ensuring that the frontline units were adequately supported during the conflict. Cheetal played an important role in medical evacuation operations, transporting and soldiers to the safe locations so that the medical treatment is done. Thousands of lives were saved through this machine, because not only the medical evacuation done, but yes, the supplies were also provided to the soldiers who were fighting against the Pakistani intruders in 99 in Kargil. Atmanirbhar Bharat, this is one such example that yes, we are Atmanirbhar. This is the machine called Akash and it has an operational capacity of around 30 kilometers. When we talk about Akash, it's equipped. It's one of the fantastic machines that India is using now, and the Akash can achieve speed up to 2.5, allowing it to intercept fast moving aerial targets. The missile uses a command guidance system with an onboard active terminal seeker. It's equipped with a Rajendra multifunctional radar for tracking and targeting. The Akash missile carries a high explosive pre-fragmented warhead. The warhead is designed to effectively neutralize aircrafts, helicopters, drones and other aerial threats. The system is highly mobile and can be launched from tracked and wheat platforms. The mobility allows for rapid development and repositioning in various terrains. So this is one of the beautiful machines that India is having, and this has a range of around 30 kilometers. So if you want to secure the sensitive installations like Parliament, or you can have this machine placed there, because this machine is one of the best as far as its capability is concerned, and this tells you that India is inching towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, and this is a display of the Indian Army's might, its power, and these machines are with the Indian Army and also with Indian Air Force.
आपके सामने की पोस्ट को दर्शा रहे हैं और
In the run-up to the 25th Kargil Vijay Divas Shastra Pradarshan was organized by Indian Army at Kargil. A display of pride as Made in India weapons and equipments operated by Indian Army in a show of strength and military might.
It's the 25th year of Kargil Vijay Divas and the country is paying rich tributes to its fallen soldiers, and here Indian Army in Kargil had organized a weapon display of military might. One can see the light as well as the heavy machines that were used by the Indian Army during Kargil war that happened in 1999 between India and Pakistan. One can see the Bofors, the heavy machine, and then the light machine Cheetal. Both the machines played an important part. When we talk about the Cheetal, it helped in evacuations, logistics, providing supplies and doing the recce to get the proper intelligence about the area. When we talk about the Bofors definitely turned the war in favor of India. And then we are also seeing the other weapons and definitely the tanks that have been put on display here tells you about the military might of India. Mostly here the focus was Atmanirbhar Bharat, because the machines that have been put in place, 80% of them are made in India.
adding to the military prowess is Bofors. The Bofors artillery played a pivotal role, turning the tide of the battle in India's favour. Its precision and firepower were decisive in reclaiming occupied territories, a testament to technological and strategic brilliance.
In the Kargil War of 1999, the war that was fought between India and Pakistan, and one big machine that played a bigger role to turn the war in favor of India, and that was this, Bofors. The war was fought here when the Pakistani intruders, the Pakistani terrorists tried to seize domination of the Indian heights in the winters, and those intruders were spotted by one shepherd who had gone up to the hills to look for his yak, and there he spotted the men in black, some 6 in number, who were constructing bunkers. The moment Indian Army got information about the intruders, immediately the action was taken, and the entire war continued here for almost 2 months. And in this war, Pakistan had to take the body bag of its soldiers and also of his intruders, the Pakistani terrorists. In this war, Pakistan even refused to take the dead bodies of its soldiers, and then Indian Army gave decent burial to those men also.
What you see in Kargil today, shot with Republic cameras, what you hear, however, are not mere sounds or audios, but echoes of our heroes. The echoes of the size of these expansive mountains.
When the entire country is paying tributes to the fallen soldiers of Kargil war, I'm joined by some of the students who are paying tributes to those soldiers who fought this war here in Kargil. I'm joined by... आप नाम बताइए।
मेरा नाम मर्जिया बानो है मैम, मैं 10th क्लास में AGS हरका बहादुर में पढ़ती हूँ।
बताइए क्या पता है आपको इस वॉर के बारे में और किस तरह से आप लोग ट्रिब्यूट्स पे कर रहे हैं?
मैम ये वॉर 1999 में हुआ था और इसको आज 25 इयर्स कंप्लीट हो गए हैं। उस वक्त जो है बहुत सारे लोगों ने अपनी जान देकर हमारे लिए अपनी जान देकर आज हम लोग यहाँ पे पीसफुली रह सकते हैं। उस वक्त बहुत सारे लोगों ने जैसे विक्रम बत्रा, कैप्टन नायर, बहुत सारे ऐसे लोगों ने उस टाइम अपनी जान दी थी, ताकि इस समय अभी हम जो जी रहे हैं शांति से यहाँ, उन लोगों की वजह से ही जी रहे। और उनको ट्रिब्यूट देने के लिए मैम यहाँ पे बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम्स होते रहते हैं, जैसे कि हम रजत जयंती से देख रहे हैं, यहाँ पे मेडिकल कैंप्स हुए हैं, मैराथन्स हुए हैं, बहुत सारी और चीज़ें भी हुई हैं मैम। इसके लिए
आपको कौन से वॉर हीरो जो है वो इंस्पायर करते हैं?
विक्रम बत्रा 1919 में हम पैदा नहीं हुए, बट हमारे रिलेटिव्स और हमारे जो बड़े लोग कहते हैं कि आर्मी लोग ने हमें अपना कल का नहीं देख के हमारा जान बचाया था। मैं उनको सल्यूट करती हूँ। थैंक यू।
तो विक्रम बत्रा क्यों आपको इंस्पायर करते हैं?
क्योंकि टाइगर हिल था, उनको यहाँ हिंदुस्तान में वापस लिया था पाकिस्तान से। यस मैम।
So you get to know about the war heroes who have inspired the younger generation. Definitely they are still immortalized in Kargil.
Kargil Vijay Divas is not merely a day-long tribute to our brave hearts. It is a reminder that freedom is not so free after all. That there are still those who lost a son, a father, a brother, a husband, a grandson, an uncle, a friend. It is a day to remind ourselves why a few good men consciously chose to defend our borders, our nation, for the sake of 1.3 billion strangers like you and I. In honoring their legacy, we pledge to uphold their courage and valor forevermore.
Hotel Management with AI. Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
Yes. Just general.
We talked about the hot dogs.
Talked about
yesterday might have impacted negotiations on a ceasefire deal?
Well, we're trying to get one, and I think to the extent that Hamas understands that there's no daylight between Israel and the United States, that expedites the deal, and I would hope that
No, I have no remarks. She's a radical left person. San Francisco, destroyed San Francisco. She's really a destroyer. She doesn't know how to build. And I think her remarks were disrespectful. They weren't very nice pertaining to Israel. I actually don't know how a person who's Jewish can vote for her, but that's up to them. But she was certainly disrespectful to Israel, in my opinion.
With the Prime Minister repaired at all?
No, it was never bad. I would say it was always good. No president has done what I've done for Israel, and we've always had a very good relationship. And if I didn't, I have a secret weapon. You know what it is? Sarah. She's sitting right over here. I have Sarah. As long as I have Sarah, that's all that matters.
Do you feel like after this trip, Mr. Prime Minister, we're any closer to a ceasefire deal?
I hope so, but I think time will tell. We're certainly eager to have one, and we're working on it.
Can you tell us the status of the hostage negotiations?
I think there's been some movement because of the military pressure that we exerted.
At a time when we are seeing so much conflict in the world, so much tension, so much polarization, so much bloodshed, it's very important that Gandhiji's message was that solutions do not come from a battlefield, that no era should be an era of war. And that message applies today as much as it did 80 years ago. A second message is something which we all think today in terms of sustainability. Gandhiji was the original prophet of sustainable growth. He was the greatest advocate of how to live in harmony with nature. So the message of Gandhiji, that it is not just something for governments to do, but for everybody to do in their personal life, that is something which again we pass on.
Security forces have launched a massive anti-terror operation in Manganar area of Poonch. Operation launched after 2 suspected terrorists were seen in the area. Joint forces are conducting searches in the defence forested area. Punjab Police Bus International Drug Network seizes over 1 crore rupees of worth drugs, apprehending 2 operatives of foreign-based top drug smugglers, Gujran Singh Bholu and Kindarbir Singh. The State Special Operations Cell Amritsar has registered an FIR against foreign handlers and 2 operatives arrested for running an organised crime syndicate. 12-year-old Arnab Bhardwaj is commemorating 25 years of Kargil Vijay with 1200 kilometer bicycle yatra from Kargil War Memorial to National War Memorial in New Delhi. The initiative is to pay tribute to brave hearts of the Kargil War, supported by MOD and Indian Army. EAM Jaishankar meets US Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Tokyo. He tweets, and I quote, "Our bilateral agenda progresses steadily. Also had a wide-ranging discussion on regional and global issues. Look forward to attending the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting tomorrow."
A bus of devotees going to take a bath in Ganga overturned on roadside in Hathras. As per the eyewitnesses, the driver was intoxicated and fought with passengers. When confronted for his behavior, a total of 16 passengers have been injured in the accident and are currently being treated. In Meerut, a sub-inspector brandished a pistol at a toll worker at a plaza near Mawana Khurd region on National Highway 34 when asked for toll payment. The incident captured by the toll plaza CCTV led the affected toll worker to demand action while citing a threat to his life. In response to the escalating situation, the SSP has suspended the sub-inspector and ordered an investigation. In Berua Sagar police station area of in Uttar Pradesh district, the wall of an old house unexpectedly collapsed during a light rain that resulted in commotion in the neighborhood. The dramatic incident was captured on camera and quickly went viral. Following the collapse, municipal officials are considering issuing notices to residents of similar old buildings. A team from municipality has been dispatched to the site to clear the debris and prevent rainwater from affecting nearby homes. A clash between police and female students at KKM College has ignited widespread outrage in Pako region of Jharkhand. Following the incident, the Adivasi student organization even led a massive public rally in the district with thousands of students who participated in this rally. The demonstrators chanted slogans against Soren government and the Jharkhand police. Heavy rainfall in Kolhapur, Maharashtra has resulted in Varana river to overflow, leading to significant flooding in the area. Kolhapur now faces a flood-like situation due to the rising water level of the Panch Ganga river. Currently, efforts are underway to rescue people from the low-lying areas.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
Hotel Management with AI. Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
Yeah, I think everything that I've been through, I want to push the limits. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I'm still capable of so that once I step away from the sport, I can truly be happy with my career and say I gave it my all. And that's how I feel like currently in this position.
The first budget for Prime Minister Modi and the Honourable Finance Minister in the third term, and your seventh, is full of encouragement for us in industry.
This budget is first of all futuristic. Getting India have a lead advantage in research, R&D for private sector, space sector. Money has been given and a plan has been drawn where it is not just going to be government, it will also be bringing in small and big players to come into this area, and for which government will support. Every asset class has to be treated similarly and nothing more.
Fortunately for us, even though we want to say ye dil mange more, there is not more that we can ask for.
Republic takes you to the Kargil, where the Pakistani infiltrators had occupied the heights, and it was one of the toughest challenges for the Indian Army to get those heights back from the Pakistani infiltrators. It all started on the 3rd of May, and for 2 months, 3 weeks and 2 days, a fight took place between the Pakistani regulars and the infiltrators, who managed to get onto the heights, taking the advantage of the winters.
Three students killed after massive flooding at IS Coaching Institute in Delhi's Rajendra Nagar. Sources say a complaint was filed against illegal basement a month ago, but no action was initiated.
Criminal negligence which has been done by the Honorable MLA Shri Durgesh Pathak ji and by the omission of the Kejriwal government.
BJP and Congress double down on AAP government as apathy and negligence claims 3 lives. Anger mounts over apathy and negligence. Students hit the streets, reject political tourism. Manu Bhaker wins bronze at Paris Olympics, becomes first Indian woman to clinch shooting medal. PV Sindhu makes it to the final after a dominant win over Maldives' Fatima Abdul Razak. All right, big day for India. India opens its accounts at Paris Olympics. Manu Bhaker scripted history after she opened India's medal tally in the Paris Summer Olympics. After she won bronze medal, the 22-year-old from Haryana became the first Indian female shooter to win a medal at the Games after she clinched the third position in the women's 10-meter air pistol final. We have our first reaction coming in after the win. Listen in.
Yes, it has sunk in now because I have a match to shoot tomorrow. But the feeling is surreal. I feel so good. I feel really happy that I could win this medal for all of us. And this is coming home. After so long, so many years it's been for shooting in the like winning a medal, podium finish and all. So I'm so happy that it's coming home with me, and maybe many more will come in the following days, maybe in shooting or other sports, but many more.
Right, as congratulations pour in from across the country, with Prime Minister also speaking to Manu Bhaker. Republic spoke to her parents. Let's listen in to those very happy two souls today.
तो जैसा कि पेरिस ओलंपिक में भारत ने अपना पहला मेडल जीत लिया है, कांस्य पदक हमारी झोली में आ गिरा है और वो सब कुछ हुआ है मनु भाकर के बदौलत। उनकी माँ हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं, सुमेधा भाकर जी। और आपको कब जानकारी मिली कि मनु ने ब्रॉन्ज मेडल जीत लिया?
मेरे सोसाइटी के जो परिवारजन है, एक छोटा सा थिएटर है, वहाँ पे उन्होंने पूरा मनु के लिए प्रार्थना करी है और करते ही जा रहे थे। और जब ग्रुप हमारा, तो उस ग्रुप में मैं बार बार एक फ़ोन को ऑन करके देख रही थी। मैं लिखते जा रही थी, बीच बीच में हर 10 मिनट में 15 मिनट में फ़ोन को खोल के देख रही थी कि क्या है। मेरे पति जैसे हनुमान जी के भक्त हैं, तो ये प्रेयर कर रहे थे। मैंने कहा अभी ब्रॉन्ज मनु ने ले लिया है। तो फिर इन्होंने आके, हमारा फ़ोन भी 2 दिन से बंद ही था, मैंने मेरा खोला हुआ था क्योंकि बच्चों के फ़ोन मैसेज आते तो मैं बात करना, जैसे बात करते हैं हम लोग। तो फिर उन्होंने अपना फ़ोन खोला, तब जिनके भी बधाई आई हुई थी उन सब से बातें करते जा रहे हैं, हम तब से बातें करते जा रहे हैं। हाँ, तो सोसाइटी से ही मुझे पता चला है, मेरी सोसाइटी के परिवार के जनों से मुझे पता चला है कि मनु ने क्या अचीव किया है जी।
तो मनु भाकर ने हम सभी को गर्व का एक मौका दिया है, क्योंकि भारत के नाम पहला मेडल अब पेरिस ओलंपिक में आ चुका है। हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मनु भाकर के पिता रामकिशन भाकर जी। रामकिशन जी, बहुत बहुत आपको बधाई, क्योंकि आपकी बेटी ने नाम रोशन कर दिया है और हम सभी का नाम रोशन।
आप देख रहे हो, ये मेरे बाल वो हो जाते हैं जब मनु हाँ, तो इट्स लाइक ऐसा लगता है कि मनु ने ना देश को एक स्टार्ट दी है, बहुत अच्छी स्टार्ट दी है। एक मेडल से स्टार्ट होती है तो बाकी खिलाड़ियों को भी एक वो मिलता है कि मोटिवेशन मिलता है, और मनु को खुद को भी कॉन्फिडेंस आया है कि वो दोबारा जो है अगले 2 इवेंट में अच्छा करने के लिए उसको पूरा जोश आया होगा।
हाँ, अब जोश आए हैं मनु।
जी।
अच्छा, आपकी बात हुई अपनी बेटी से?
नहीं, बात नहीं हुई, उनका फोन बंद है अभी तक।
अच्छा, फोन बंद है। तो बात
कल इवेंट है ना, तो शाम को शायद 2-4-5 मिनट मिलते हैं उसको करने के लिए, तो शायद शाम को आएगा।
लेकिन एक बात है कि जब आपकी बेटी ने ब्रॉन्ज मेडल जीता है, देश का नाम रोशन कर दिया है, लेकिन जब आपकी बात होगी तो वो पल बहुत इमोशनल होता है। जीत हासिल की है आपकी बेटी ने, फिर से देखिए, गिर के उठकर खड़े होना और जीत हासिल करना, ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी।
उसी को चैंपियन कहते हैं ना, जो गिर के रुक के गिर के उठ के फिर दौड़े, उसी को तो चैंपियन कहते हैं। तो मनु में चैंपियन स्पिरिट तो है, ये चैंपियन स्पिरिट है, फाइटिंग नेवर से के बैक होने के लिए। बट उस चैंपियन स्पिरिट में ना बहुत लोगों का हाथ है, बहुत लोगों का सहयोग है। मैं सबका गिना भी नहीं सकता हूँ कितने लोगों का सहयोग है। मोटे मोटे तौर पे मैं कह सकता हूँ कि भाई फेडरेशन हमेशा साथ में रहा है। नेशनल राइफल फेडरेशन, जसपाल राणा कोच हैं, उन्होंने बहुत उसको वापस हेल्प किया है। देन आपका OGQ है, उसको हर ज़रूरत के लिए हेल्प किया है। एक टॉप्स डिपार्टमेंट है स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री का, उन्होंने हेल्प किया है। इतने सारे फिजियो, नेशनल कोच, HPD और जो यहाँ पे तुगलकाबाद रेंज में है, उन्होंने हेल्प किया है। और सबसे ज़्यादा मैं कहूँगा उसकी मम्मी ने उसको रोज़ाना मोटिवेट किया है, मैं हूँ पीछे, चिंता मत कर, ये चाहिए पापा लाएंगे, चिंता मत कर। हैं, मैं बोलती हूँ पापा ऐसे कैसे नहीं मना करेंगे, जाओ तू शॉपिंग करके आ, तो ये लेके आ, मैं कराती हूँ। तो इतने सारे लोगों और पड़ोस में यहाँ पे आपने देखा होगा सोसाइटी में भी इतने सारे लोग हैं जो खुशी में शामिल है। तो और गांव में भी देखेंगे तो सब लोग के वहाँ पे बहुत खुशी की बात हो रखी है। तो ये जो इतनी सारी चीज़ें हो रही हैं उनमें सब में देखेंगे ना तो इतने सारे खुश नसीब हैं कि बच्चे को इतने चारों तरफ से सपोर्ट मिल रहा है। तो पूरे देशवासियों का मैं कहूँगा ओवरऑल पूरे देशवासियों का एक मदद है।
Well, of course, the nation equally excited, happy and feeling proud at this achievement of Manu Bhaker. Of course, this is just the first 24 hours at Paris Olympics. A lot of medal hopes there, including of PV Sindhu and Manu Bhaker also continuing participation in other events. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, the coaching center in Delhi's Rajendra Nagar has turned into a battleground after students continued to stage massive protests after 3 students died due to waterlogging in the basement. We learned that several lapses have come to fore. One of them majorly being that the coaching institute was using the basement as a library, even though civic authorities had said it could be used only as a go-down or a storage or parking. We now have a fresh video from the day of the incident, which was yesterday, which shows how the flow of water entered the gate, after which the gate broke and water is also seen entering the institute. Let's have a look at those pictures and that would give you an idea of how the tragedy unfolded. Look at this, a car is going in and now they open the gate, and since the iron door is open, that's how the water starts gushing in. And nobody there inside thought of the possible consequences of this opening of the gate. The water gushing inside the building complex and making its way straight to the basement. Anamika, I'm told, is joining us live. She has been reporting from the spot since morning. Anamika, आप काफ़ी समय से वहाँ रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे हैं और बहुत दुखद घटना हुई है ये दिल्ली में। आपको क्या जानकारी मिल रही है कि अभी इस समय जो पुलिस एक्शन है वो कहां पहुंचा है?
अभिषेक, जो स्टूडेंट है यहाँ पर वो लगातार ये मांग कर रहे हैं कि पुलिस हमको मत रोके, जो हम प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं उनको मत रोके, बल्कि जो लोग इस लापरवाही के लिए जिम्मेदार हैं उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई की जाए। मेरे पीछे देखिए अभी भी प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा है और यहाँ पर स्टूडेंट्स लगातार जुटते जा रहे हैं। ये स्टूडेंट एक ही मांग कर रहे हैं कि पहली बात तो जो बेसमेंट में लाइब्रेरी चल रही है, जो कोचिंग जहाँ पर छात्र पढ़ते हैं वहाँ पर जो दिक्कतें होती हैं उस पर फोकस किया जाए, क्योंकि पहली बार नहीं है। हम करीब 1.5-2 साल से लगातार अपनी बातों को लेकर जा रहे हैं अधिकारियों के पास, लेकिन अधिकारी हमारी बात नहीं सुनते हैं। जो स्टूडेंट यहाँ पर है मैं उनसे बात करती हूँ। भैया थोड़ा इधर से इधर आइए ना, आइए इधर आइए, मेरे पास आइए। आप में से कोई बात करना चाहेगा? अभिषेक, बहुत से स्टूडेंट हैं जो बात करना चाह रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं है। यहाँ और भी स्टूडेंट है, सलील आइएगा मेरे साथ, मैं ज़रा उनसे एक बार बात करने की कोशिश करती हूँ। ये यहाँ पर प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से और ये कह रहे हैं कि हमारी बातें नहीं सुनी जा रही हैं। क्या नाम है आपका?
प्रिया।
प्रिया, क्या डिमांड है आप लोगों की, क्या चाहते हैं?
मैम, हमारी बस ये डिमांड है कि जो अब आज हो हम उसको बदल तो नहीं सकते, पर ये दोबारा तो ना हो। ये करप्शन कब तक चलेगा आखिर? हम स्टूडेंट हैं, हम रहते नहीं हैं यहाँ पे, हम यहाँ पढ़ने आए हैं, अपना बचपना मार के यहाँ पे कुछ गेन करने आते हैं, पर हमारी हम पढ़ते पढ़ते मर जा रहे हैं। हम कुछ कर भी नहीं, हम तो शांति से पढ़ने बैठे हैं ना। वी आर पेइंग 1.5 lakhs टू द कोचिंग सेंटर्स, दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ सिक्योरिटी वी आर गेटिंग।
कैंडल मार्च से क्या मैसेज देना चाह रहे हैं? हाँ, कुछ कह रहे थे आप, कौन बोल रहा था बताइए कुछ? इस कैंडल मार्च से हाँ कुछ कह रहे थे।
मैम देखिए, मैसेज यही कि हम स्टूडेंट्स हैं, हम लोग यहाँ पे अपना घर छोड़ के कम से कम 20 से 25 हज़ार रुपये एक महीने का देते हैं। हमारी मांग बस इतनी है कि हमको जस्टिस चाहिए। ये इन बच्चों के साथ हुआ, 3 बच्चे थे, कल को ये भी हो सकती है, भैया भी हो सकती है, कोई भी हो सकता है हम लोगों में से। बस इतनी मांग है कि ये चीज़ें फेयर हो, जस्टिस हो और उनको न्याय मिले। हालांकि वो जिंदा नहीं है, बट वो जहाँ भी रहेंगे वो देख के खुश होंगे कि हाँ मुझे जस्टिस मिला, मुझे न्याय मिला।
आप लोग जब कोचिंग पढ़ने आते हैं आप लोगों से क्या प्रोमिस किए जाते हैं? जो किए जाते हैं वो पूरे होते हैं?
देखिए, कोचिंग में तो काफ़ी सारे प्रोमिस किए जाते हैं, लेकिन दिक्कत ये है कि उनका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर यही सही नहीं रहता है। जैसे कि आपने देखा, ये एग्जांपल ये तो एक ही एग्जांपल है। आप अगर आप देखा जाए तो जितनी भी लाइब्रेरी आसपास बनी है, ऊपर उन्होंने रेंट के लिए चढ़ा रखे और जितनी भी लाइब्रेरी सब बेसमेंट में दे रखी है। जो इस पर एनओसी कैसे मिल जाती है? मतलब कोई एमसीडी वगैरह सवाल क्यों नहीं उठाती, रोकते क्यों नहीं उन लोगों को?
पुलिस से आप लोगों की क्या डिमांड? पुलिस प्रशासन पे यहाँ पर बहुत ज़्यादा है, RAF के जवान भी।
डिमांड तो यही है कि जस्टिस जल्दी जल्दी मिले और मतलब जो भी हो रहा है सब स्टूडेंट को मतलब न्याय मिलना चाहिए, यही है और कुछ नहीं।
इसको न्याय मिलना चाहिए, क्या न्याय मिलेगा? आप लोगों को उम्मीद है? किससे शिकायत?
अभी तो हम सुबह कल शाम से यहाँ पे बैठे हुए हैं, लेकिन अभी तक ना कोई एमसीडी से हमें मिलने आया, ना कोई बड़ा अधिकारी आया जो हमारी बात सुन सके। डिमांड क्या है वो तो अभी सुने, हम चाहते क्या है वो तो सुने। न्याय की उनसे उम्मीद बस यही है कि पहले वो आए, बात सुने, हमारी डिमांड क्या है वो सुने, वो सुनने का
हाईकोर्ट नहीं करना।
जब तक हमें नहीं न्याय मिल जाता, उनका न्याय नहीं अभी वो है। आज भी आप यहाँ पे चले जाइए, पूरे करोल बाग से पटेल नगर तक जितने भी लाइब्रेरी है सारे अंडरग्राउंड है, कोई एग्जिट का नहीं, सिर्फ उन्हें पैसे से मतलब है। जब हमारा डिमांड यही है कि जब तक वो आके हमें न्याय नहीं दे देते हम यहीं पे रहेंगे और जब तक
बैठे रहेंगे। किस तरह के न्याय की डिमांड कर रहे हैं आप लोग?
जी यहाँ पे जितनी भी लाइब्रेरी हैं वो स्टोर रूम के उसमें रजिस्टर्ड हैं, उनको कमर्शियल यूज़ का इस तरीके का नहीं है, लेकिन इनका नेक्सेस है इनका।
सलील ये विजुअल दिखाइएगा जो कैंडल मार्च हो रहा है।
एमसीडी के साथ इनका नेक्सेस है और सब इलीगल चल रही है। 95% लाइब्रेरी जैसे इन्हें बताया अंडरग्राउंड है, कोई वेंटिलेशन की किसी में सुविधा नहीं है, एक ही डोर है जिससे वो आते जाते हैं, कोई भी सेफ्टी मेजर्स नहीं है, कोई फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर कुछ भी नहीं होता ज़्यादातर लाइब्रेरी में। और
जिसमें बनी है वो जो है वो क्या कहते हैं उसे मैडम, वो जो कूड़ा करकट जो
स्टोर रूम।
वी आर नॉट इवन डिमांडिंग सो मच, ये फंडामेंटल राइट है हमारा, राइट टू लिव फंडामेंटल राइट होता है। हमें तो अपने अधिकारों की प्रोटेक्शन चाहिए। हम क्या मांग रहे हैं ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा गवर्नमेंट की कि हम पैसे दे रहे, आप सुरक्षा दो, हम टैक्स भरते हैं, हमें
आप कुछ कह रक्षा दो।
नहीं, मैं कुछ नहीं कह रहा हूँ, मैं
कुछ नहीं।
आपका रह गया लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी आपने देश का नाम रोशन किया। आपको दो प्रकार की क्रेडिट मिल रही है। एक तो आप कहाँ से पदक लाई, लेकिन भारत की पहली महिला है जो ये मेडल लेके आई हो।
जी सर, हाँ जी, शुक्रिया सर।
मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत बधाई है। देखिए टोक्यो ओलंपिक्स में राइफल ने तेरे साथ दगा कर दिया।
हाँ जी।
लेकिन इस बार तुमने सारी कमियों को पूरा कर दिया।
बिल्कुल सर, अभी और भी मैचेस हैं आगे, तो उनमें भी उम्मीद रहेगी कि अच्छा करूँ मैं।
मुझे पक्का विश्वास है आगे की मैचेस भी बहुत अच्छा करोगी आप, क्योंकि ये ट्रेनिंग इतना अच्छा है उसके कारण तुम्हारा उत्साह भी बढ़ेगा, आत्मविश्वास भी बढ़ेगा।
जी सर,
बिल्कुल। देश को भी उसका लाभ होगा।
बिल्कुल सर।
बाकी सब साथी एकदम प्रसन्न है, व्यवस्थाएं ठीक है सर वहाँ?
सब बहुत खुश हैं सर, और अभी नमस्ते भी कह रहे हैं आपको।
हमने भी कोशिश की है कि वहाँ जितना ज्यादा सुविधाएं मिले सब हमारे खिलाड़ियों को, खेल की दृष्टि से जो कंफर्ट चाहिए सब देने का प्रयास तो किया है।
अच्छा सर, अभी तो सब कुछ है हमारे पास, तो सारे प्रयास सफल रहे आपके, मुझे लगता है सब
नहीं, आप लोगों की मेहनत रंग लाने वाली है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
हाँ जी, चलिए तो घर पे बात हुई है रामकृष्ण जी से?
अभी तो नहीं हुई सर, शाम को घर जाके करूँगी, जब रूम पे जाएंगे तब बात होगी घर पे। हाँ जी।
हमारे पापा को बहुत खुशी होगी क्योंकि उन्होंने तुम्हें बहुत प्रोत्साहित किया है।
बिल्कुल, माँ भी और पिताजी भी और भाई भी। जी।
चलिए मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत आशीर्वाद है।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर।
थैंक यू। थैंक यू।
जी, नमस्ते सर।
All right, coming up after a short break, rolling coverage of the Manu Bhaker story.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
I think everything that I've been through, I want to push the limits. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I'm still capable of so that once I step away from the sport, I can truly be happy with my career and say I gave it my all. And that's how I feel like currently in this position.
The first budget for Prime Minister Modi and the Honorable Finance Minister in the third term, and your seventh, is full of encouragement for us in industry.
This budget is first of all futuristic. Getting India have a lead advantage in research, R&D for private sector, space sector. Money has been given and a plan has been drawn where it is not just going to be government, it will also be bringing in small and big players to come into this area, and for which government will support. Every asset class has to be treated similarly and nothing more.
Fortunately for us, even though we want to say dil mange more, there is not more that we can ask for.
At a time when we are seeing so much conflict in the world, so much tension, so much polarization, so much bloodshed, it's very important that Gandhiji's message was that solutions do not come from a battlefield, that no era should be an era of war. And that message applies today as much as it did 80 years ago. A second message is something which we all think today in terms of sustainability. Gandhiji was the original prophet of sustainable growth. He was the greatest advocate of how to live in harmony with nature. So the message of Gandhiji, that it is not just something for governments to do, but for everybody to do in their personal life, that is something which again we pass on.
Republic takes you to the Kargil, where the Pakistani infiltrators had occupied the heights, and it was one of the toughest challenges for the Indian Army to get those heights back from the Pakistani infiltrators. It all started on the 3rd of May, and for 2 months, 3 weeks and 2 days, a fight took place between the Pakistani regulars and the infiltrators, who managed to get onto the heights, taking the advantage of the winters.
employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
At least I can tell you under Prime Minister Modi, nothing done is done just with the back of the envelope calculations. We go through rigorously, we talk with people who are concerned in these areas, and only then, not for revenue considerations, I underline that. More for ease of doing business, more for simplification, more for rationalization. Have we brought changes in the tax?
If you look at the semiconductor landscape, China has about 36 unicorns, US has about 4 to 5 unicorns, India has none. So have you thought about how government can support, like the way you're doing for space tech, for the semiconductor industry?
Some efforts have been made. I don't know if what you have in your mind. Our intent is to support semiconductors, there's no doubt, and semiconductors at every level.
5 years ago, India changed what the nefarious plan of the Pakistan was. India occupied those heights that were never an easy task, and it was always the man behind the machine that actually made the difference.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and let me extend a very warm welcome to you to yet another open house. This is very special because of the presence of an extraordinarily special individual. Our Honorable Finance Minister, who has distinguished herself with deep thought, with gravitas, with clarity, with transparency, and with vision. All of us in India are blessed to have her as the Finance Minister. Thank you, Madam, for being with us. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for guiding us. The first budget for Prime Minister Modi and the Honorable Finance Minister in the third term, and your seventh, is full of encouragement for us in industry. Full of encouragement to create employment, to do investment. Your thrust on agriculture, your thrust on infrastructure, your thrust on MSMEs, your focus on the development of Eastern India, your focus on simplification of tax laws, your attention to reduction of stamp duties in states where they are high, your plans for solar rooftop, pumped storage, the comprehensive economic policy reform, I can go on and on. There are many points, and fortunately for us, Even though we want to say ye dil mange more, there is not more that we can ask for. So many good features, decriminalization, etc., etc. And I mean, if I actually prepared a list, I could go on and on and on. To sum up, the first budget of this government, the third term of Prime Minister Modi, builds on his commitment to growth, inclusion, and next generation reforms. It also sets the tone and the blueprint to realize the objective of Viksit Bharat in 2047. Clearly, achhe din for the nation, achhe din for the economy. Once again, thank you, Madam Finance Minister, and over to you.
Thank you very much. This is the first time I think I'm attending this open house, a small intimate gathering, and at a time when there's just a lot of discourse on the budget, most of which are really getting into the details of what has been said and what has not been mentioned in the speech, but what has been covered otherwise in the budget, going through the details. But to have this one, I think I would say it's not yet another discussion session, because I find the audience a very discerning gathering, and I therefore would place a lot more importance for the exchange of ideas, thoughts, and as much as possible from my side I'll try to put forward things or issues which will be in the nature of clarifying things. But as an opening statement, I want to highlight the fact that this budget is first of all futuristic. If actually many things which have been said in the speech, but even more things which have not been said in the speech but are there in the document, what had been mentioned by the Prime Minister, that we are looking at a futuristic India and the necessary action that is required at this stage for building that futuristic India, that is towards 2047. So first of all, the initial markers were all laid out even in the vote on account. So for those who want to have a lot of spice in the discussion, who think, oh, this has been done for the two alliance partners, let them please themselves. I have no problem with that. But it is a matter of fact that even during the vote on account, a good indication was given what is on store in store for the July budget. After all, the vote on account was, and I was also commented upon for it, the vote on account was strictly for running the business of the government. We had just indicated one program which was of importance, and that was the PM Suryodaya. Other than that, it had nothing. It was purely the grammar book vote on account. But we indicated that in the July budget there will be a clear, wider picture of what is in store for the rest of the year and also for the next 5 years. And that is exactly what we've done now. Drawing from the vote on account, subsuming everything that has been said in it, and here bringing in a lot more clarity about what is the Amritkal first budget and third term first budget. A third term which is historic because a Prime Minister continuing in his role for the third term, having done 10 years of good work, reforms, and emphasized on continuity, stability in government. So when we come back, it is certainly a big message for which we thank the people of India, recognizing that this government should continue to be there is the votes or the mandate. Now, therefore, even in the Rashtrapati's Bhashan and subsequently at the beginning of the session, PM himself has very clearly said this will have a lot of roadmap related details. Now, if you ask me to tell what is that vision, what is that futuristic, clearly the steps towards getting India have a lead advantage in research, R&D for private sector, space sector, money has been given and a plan has been drawn where it is not just going to be government, it will also be bringing in small and big players to come into this area, and for which government will support, and initial allocations have been made. Equally, placing emphasis on Industry 4.0, readiness of our youth for it. If not, how are we going to bring that kind of a dimension in skilling them, not just skilling them in the old traditional, old India's requirements, but the new industry's requirement for skilling. And therefore, the skilling that we've been talking about in the 5-item package for youth is the skilling for readying youth for skills which are required by the industry. So it's not come, do just your foundry work and then go back. It is going to be AI driven, but equally labor intensive units which also have to modernize, but yet India's typical solution for a blend of technology and use of manpower. So training for those and bringing a lot of advantage of research and technology into agriculture, factor productivity and factor related reforms, which despite all that, I'll have introductions telling me about my budgets earlier. We did not touch on factor reforms, although we've been talking about it, but now we've specifically said what are the few for land related matters, what are the few for capital related matters. So factor reforms have really taken a big place in this budget. And in that, of course, a lot of work has to be done together with the states. We've even indicated as to how we are possibly engaging with the states to seek them to be on board on these kind of reform steps. It's not going to be easy. We'll have to work with the states, keep persisting with certain objectives which are for the nation's good. And there are no center and state politics in this. So when I say futuristic, there are such things which we can take on board and understand that we are just not using the word without having done the work there. And in this repeatedly, industry together with the government, state governments together with the industry and with the central government, is the repeated message that it is not a central government's only action plan, it is involving everybody. Other than that, of course, we are looking at data and data related urgency, with a sense of urgency, data related work that we have to do, and the benefits of use of data are also being highlighted in this budget. Of course, we are still continuing with the emphasis on infrastructure, public expenditure to build public utilities and also greater connectivity and so on. So when people repeatedly ask me about, but what about rural distress? What about rural consumption demand? What about small savings? I think we repeatedly have explained that if government puts a rupee somewhere, the multiplier effect is what is going to have a spin-off in every one of these areas. So there's no way in which I change the course and say, all right, all these while when we're coming out of COVID, we placed emphasis on capex and public expenditure. Now we are changing tack because everybody is worried about, all of us want to have development reaching every corner of the country, for which I need to take connectivity, not just road, but also digital connectivity to every corner of the country, so that even before people understand that they have to come to the city for something, they know what it takes to do business with different parts of the country, inclusive of their own state capitals and so on. So there has been a comprehensive look at the kind of things that we can start off with, and that is where this budget, although it pertains to the rest of the 8 months, it indicates the direction of the next 5 years and then go further. One thing which, because all of you all are in industry, most of the audience here understand the emphasis that we'll have to lay on fiscal prudence, transparency in governance. We have very clearly indicated, and our fiscal deficit number could have been retained at 5.1. You wouldn't have been unhappy. But I'm sure when we showed that we are conscious, every moment conscious, that one, we need to have the bang for every buck that we spend, but equally we also have to handle the macroeconomic issues with a greater sense of responsibility. And the word given, which is what I said one of the media houses yesterday, the word given post-COVID and the trajectory given for fiscal deficit, fiscal management totally, the glide path has been honored in each one of the budget afterwards. We have not sort of found the easiest excuse to say, no, I need to spend here, so please forget it. We have kept the glide path. And have also probably untypically given a line and assurance saying next year we'll still reach the number that we had given ourselves even earlier. So a forward signaling also has been given for those who are looking for it. And further, I was astonished to find in some newspapers today, no, there should be greater clarity on how this debt management is going to work in place of fiscal deficit. The matter is still in the parliament. Just wait, we'll talk more about it. We've already given you an indication after 26 what would be the question. We've given you an indication after 26 what. Emphasis, as was given in, let us say, the N.K. Singh committee report, emphasis on debt reduction. Because I find also many countries abroad and states within India, not to blame anybody, if your debt management is handled with a larger purpose, and you're not just borrowing to repay your debt or pay the interest, or flash it away in revenue expenditure related items, and your quality of expenditure is also not assessed, then no good being fixated on that number, oh, I need to reach this number of fiscal deficit. And that is where we've indicated, post the glide path fully having been serviced, post that what we've given you an indication. We need greater clarity. As we go along, we'll do that. So that's the long and short of it. There's of course always the tax related interesting debates which go on. We'll participate in that because nothing done in the finance ministry. At least I can tell you under Prime Minister Modi, nothing done is done just with the back of the envelope calculations. We go through rigorously. We talk with people who are concerned in these areas, and only then, not for revenue considerations, I underline that, more for ease of doing business, more for simplification, more for rationalization, have we brought changes in the tax. It's not been increased because I want more money. And it's not been increased for everything. Every asset class has to be treated similarly and nothing more. So I'm sure that gives you a picture of what I want to say in the opening remarks, but I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Madam. As usual, clear, forthright, and forward-looking. Thank you so much. If I may, I'd like to ask one question which does not directly pertain to the budget, but pertains to policy making. The government had set up independent regulators with the idea of them being genuinely independent of the politics behind the state government administrations. But sadly, over the last few years, the power or the effective appointment of these regulators is done by the state governments or those in power at the state governments, thereby giving the authority in a way to the state governments to effectively control the decisions of these so-called independent commissions. And this is actually once again getting the politics into the economics of the decision making. it impacts the sentiment certainly behind certain parts of investment, for example, say in the power sector. Even though lots has been done and fantastic work, but the independence of regulators is certainly not complete. And therefore, it's not really a question, but it's a request that at the policy level, could the independence of the regulators be restored? I will open up this question and answer to the floor. I'm going to ask a very young member of the audience to start. Shashwat.
Honorable Minister, very good morning. Tuesday's budget is a budget that will enhance India's transformation. It's progressive, it's inclusive, and it's balanced. Truly a budget that sets the key pillars for us to become a Viksit Bharat, a futuristic India. Honorable Minister, in the budget you mentioned that nuclear energy is expected to form a significant part of the energy mix for a Viksit Bharat. So my question is, how do you foresee the private sector participating, and what would be the mechanics of the private sector participation? This is something that we are very excited and enthused about, and I'd love to learn more. Thank you.
I'm happy to say that the mention of nuclear energy is after having heard from our own scientists in the government that modular units setting up and the formulation for operation and running it are completely indigenized, and Indian technology, Indian way of doing it is already and available. And it is only with that confidence given by our own scientists we thought we should push ahead with this, because for a growing India and at the speed with which we are growing and we aspire to keep that momentum, the energy mix has to be diversified. And that is the reason why despite our clamor to do things to meet and keep up every commitment given in Paris or in Edinburgh, we are going in that route. But beyond that also, there's so much to do, and that is where the nuclear energy subject comes to play. And with this mention, we expect the private sector also to engage with the government, with the atomic energy, with Baba Atomic Park, and get an understanding of it. We would actively encourage private sector participation.
Thank you so much.
I will shift to one of the largest players in the renewable energy sector, wind energy, Devansh Jain.
Good morning, madam. I had the good fortune of actually being in Parliament when the budget was in progress. We came with YPO. So while it was a very, very futuristic and forward-looking budget, it was also entertaining to see some of the opposition members doing what they were doing. Having said that, madam, my question was more around the fact that there's so much mention of energy transition in the budget and such a massive focus on renewable energy by Modi ji. But the GST on wind and solar is at 12%, and majority of the inputs are at 18%, leading to a lot of accumulation, and the cost of power is actually going up because of that. So it was a request and a suggestion, if we could correct the inverted duty structure, that would reduce the cost of power.
I think I mentioned it in the budget also. The GST rationalization attempt is not just to rationalize the rates, but also to simplify the processes and correct every inversion.
That will do it. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm going to shift my attention to a woman who showed us how to transform healthcare, Preetha Reddy.
Namaste, and congratulations on an amazing budget, madam. It was both politically and economically right and futuristic, so thank you for that. I really appreciate the fact that you focus so much on employment for youth and the youth of India, because they really are the future, and if we don't give them active employment and things to do, there may be dire consequences. And I really am grateful to you for doing that. It is truly futuristic. From the sector, I think we've come a long way. And with every budget, you've given a little bit to healthcare. So we're grateful to that. But I would, again, when you get a chance, you want to ask. So what I'm saying is that you've done for the cancer drugs, you've done zero import for some of the cancer drugs, which is phenomenal. But the radiation equipment, India should become Atmanirbhar. We should manufacture this equipment, but we're a long way from that. But that is a huge drain on people, just the cost of the equipment and the duty on it. So my request is that since you've been really generous and given it for the drugs, could you please consider the radiation equipment? And I think more on the skilling, especially for the services, because there was a lot of talk on AI replacing people's skills and people being jobless. But I'd like to assure you that as far as healthcare is concerned, we really need more people in the sector, because it is the hands, it is the feet on the ground which we need. So if we could focus on that. You've given a lot. I think we have to pick it up and run with it. So thank you, and a little bit more for the radiation.
I think we'll continue with the capex, because there's no way in which you can be sure that the recovery and the growth is complete and it'll sustain for itself. We'd like to be sure that the public spending actually does the job of bringing public infrastructure and bettering it as well. So it is not a temporary solution that we thought is required post-COVID. India still has infrastructure deficit in some parts of the country. When I say that, it's not just roads. Look at the pace in which we are building ports. We are also trying to modernize our ports. Look at the way in which what started off as an UDAN experiment for interlinking airports, restoring some of just the airstrips and not airports, and so on, today has got so much traction. The growth of India's aviation sector has been enabled by this UDAN scheme, if I can say that. And therefore, connectivity is not just building roads. You also have the optical revolution that India has seen, optical fiber revolution, as a result of which internet is reaching the remotest corners before even, dare say, roads have reached. And as a result, today you see that the purchasing power of people in farthest corners are not waiting for the government schemes, but with the internet connectivity, they are able to access, and also investment in open network for digital commerce and so on. So infrastructure still has a lot of work to do. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to say, can I shut that shop? No. So, of course, that doesn't mean we'll keep doing it and we'll not have a view on private sector investment. We will want that to be ramped up, there's no doubt. India needs all that momentum. So, and I'm sure the industry has at least given me the feeling that in the last two budgets, whenever I interact with them, they are aware of their role, not just for building nation building, but their own businesses have the brightest opportunity now within India, produce here and also export. So industry, I'm sure, is conscious, and they would still be engaging, and I'm probably not measuring the investments that they've made in the last few years. On the taxation issue, I want to be clear that I'll hear all these comments, but that finance bill, which was presented on 23rd, is the property of the parliament now. I have no business to comment on it outside to say, no, I presented that, but now because I've had a couple of suggestions coming, I'm going to do this. No way, it has to be a discussion in the House, or any comment made newly from what has not been said there will have to be said back again in the House. I can't comment about it outside.
I'm going to shift to the big boss of FICCI and the de facto chairperson of JK Corporation, Harshpati Singhania.
Mr. Chairman, you put me in the spot. But first of all, good morning, Nirmala ji. I want to compliment you on a balanced budget. Is that what I would say? I'd like to call out on a couple of things which I really liked. One was the whole emphasis on reduction of litigation. Now, this is something, as you know, so many minor issues are stuck, and you're actually taking the initiative to say that was a great thing, and I'd applaud you for that. The second one was about women. And you, I think, I don't remember the figures, but I think somewhere you said between 2 or 3 lakh crores. 3 lakh crores is the figure you said is embedded in various initiatives. So that is a great thing because we need to take them along. The third one is about the MSMEs. On that, I'll take the liberty of the chairman to just say one thing, which is not really budget, but again, policy related. We are seeing, I think any policy making that we do should be seen from the point of view of competitiveness. And you use the word competitiveness several times in your budget. Ease of doing business and competitiveness. And we have a neighbor who has huge capacities. And with European markets in real trouble, the US has put a lot of tariffs. India becomes one of the natural targets for goods and services, particularly manufacturing, to come into the country. So we have to be safeguarding ourselves on that. There are various measures, fiscal, non-fiscal, and also policy measures. So I just draw your attention to that, ma'am. And that could be one of the reasons why you are seeing corporate profits being a bit muted. And if corporate profits are muted, it will have impact on tax revenues. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Harsh. Another young member who's very conscious about the greening of the atmosphere and deeply involved with the entertainment sector, Avarna Jain.
Good morning, Madam Minister. So we've seen a lot of focus on green energy, renewables, wind, solar. My question to you is slightly different. What are the future prospects we can expect in coming budgets to actually alleviate the problem of pollution? This directly impacts not even the youth, but the children that we have today who will be the youth tomorrow. So is there scope in this for private-government partnership to actually help alleviate this problem?
May not have had some or a few mentions in the speech, but we are trying to work with cities. I think there was one mention about some, or 2 mentions about cities and the way in which the plannings are happening and so on, and also using urban planning to have a better city built and so on. But on the specific issue of pollution and managing the city's waste and so on, or city's emissions and so on, there are quite a few states which are coming forward. And our idea was also to, and it still continues to be, that we should avail of external assistance so that with some technical assistance from these agencies, we should be able to have better management of air quality and a better waste management, because waste dumps are also emitting such toxicity. So there are plans which I have not certainly mentioned in my speech, and probably sketchily finds its place in some of the statement of accounts. But yes, from this year you will see a lot of such programs which center together with some states will be doing it. I am not picking and choosing the states. States which come voluntarily, we are working with them.
A man who's turned into one of the shrewdest investors in the country, Sunil Munjal.
Let me add my compliments to the many you heard here, to a budget which didn't actually surprise us, because we were hoping that you would show continuity and the forward-looking budget. So compliments and congratulations for having achieved this. What actually many of us have said, and I've said repeatedly on media, is the delightful reaction and of course the actual fact of doing it is maintaining the fisc where you did, and also announcing you will bring it down further by 50 basis points next year. I also liked your comment. By the way, I don't know who's making noise about the debt management. I think it's a very smart move. And you're saying that year on year, every year, debt as a percentage of GDP will drop. The government debt, I think it's very welcome. It will give room for industry, and we do want the private sector to play a bigger role. I think that is almost a certainty to get a leg up on with this. May I also suggest, because of the politics world over, which has become fairly adversarial, and we are seeing the same thing here in India as well, that you have a number of issues we have spoken about for a few years. We have attempted to improve them, whether it's agriculture, education, etc. Could you consider setting up a GST type of councils? There are 5 or 7 areas, actually there are 6 areas exactly, which would really benefit from a combined working of states and center, regardless of the politics behind the governance of each of them. And that could give us a fairly good implementation of the ideas as they are designed in your budget or policies other than the budget. And we do hope that there are many policies which are coming, as you said. The budget is frozen, so there's not much you can do except back in Parliament. We do hope you will look at figuring out a way of addressing some of the issues, for example, what Shireen raised on the earlier investments made by people for capital gains tax and things of this nature. But would you consider bringing back agriculture? So that was an amazing policy that got announced, which unfortunately faced amazing resistance. Is there any thinking of being able to bring back such good policies for implementation, working together with the states?
Working together with the states is definitely being taken up on very many grounds, and I'm sure tomorrow's Niti Aayog meeting is also one of the forum where such matters will be discussed. So let's hope, yes, the center is keen on pushing many issues which are necessary for India to untie itself with certain baggages with which we've lived for a long time. And that untying cannot be done just by the center. It has to happen together with the states. And therefore, there is a lot of talking to one another, center and us and the states together talking on these issues. There's no doubt in my mind about the necessity for the two of us to engage, the states and the center. Let's see how quickly and how efficiently it can move and deliver.
Just one more, if you don't mind. The urban agglomerations as economic engines are something that's been used very effectively by many countries. And I think it was a wonderful start that you made by identifying 100 cities. Could you push that into the next stage at the start itself? Say, identify so many of them to pick 20,000 or 50,000 crores of bonds. Let the center help the cities, not just the states. Help the city raise the bonds, because that can transform India in many different ways as we go along. Because we do need more funding from the center to go into the rural areas.
It's not for want of intent. The center or even those cities, the agglomerations, it's more, I think, first building the necessary capacity in those cities to be able to manage these kind of matters. So most often you're helping the administration, the local bodies, to understand how to handle such situations and then get into the act. Because except for 1 or 2 municipalities, even the municipal bond issue that we picked up is slow in progress, whereas there are 1 or 2 of them who have done extremely well. So the same thing which I keep saying to states also, when I'm talking about being ready for big ticket proposals, being ready for bidding those for World Bank or ADB's assistance. Some states do it extremely well and others don't. Not because they don't want. Matter of fact, they don't have capacities there. We need to ramp up on those first before, even as you say, and appreciate that point, we need to speedily deliver on these sort of things.
Can I shift to Mr. Nilesh Shah, the Managing Director of Kotak.
Hi, good morning, ma'am. First of all, thank you for taking safe harbor clause in the budget as pre-budget consultation. We'll ensure that we give you enough feedback to ensure that all those people come back to India to manage money. One feedback from market side, ma'am, when you're giving divestment, please give priority to low floating stock PSUs. There the valuations have gone up on the higher side. If you supply, those prices will get corrected and there will be proper market discovery. And one early warning signal, ma'am, with the reduction in gold import duty, and we are importing about 700 tons of gold, that's about $35 to $40 billion. With reduction in import duty, gold imports will rise, and we expect price of gold also to appreciate. It should not happen that our gold import bill starts exceeding our oil import bill. The stress will be slow, but please keep a watch on the same.
The Finance Minister has been very generous with her time. I think we will need to wind up soon. So really the last question of the session. Anas Junaid.
Thank you for the opportunity. Just as a young first generation entrepreneur, I really found the budget very balanced and very futuristic as well. The very fact that you could just abolish angel tax, it really helps, gives a lot of relief to investors like us who invest in early stage startups. And the space fund is amazing. It's very futuristic and very much required. There's one request that I want to, one point that I want to highlight is, if you look at the semiconductor landscape, China has about 36 unicorns. US has about 4 to 5 unicorns. India has none. So have you thought about how government can support like the way you're doing for space tech for the semiconductor industry?
I think some efforts have been made. I don't know if what you have in your mind, but the moment questions of this nature are asked, I'm eager to know what are the other things that we can do. So I would be happy to get your input on it and see what best we can do. Because our intent is to support semiconductors, there's no doubt. And semiconductors at every level. So do let us know.
Thanks, Minister.
I think we must bring the session to a close. Honorable Finance Minister, you've just been, in one word, fantastic. Thank you for everything that you've done for the nation, for encouraging us constantly, for giving us policies that give us the impetus to invest. Most of us are thinking, planning, and actually investing more than we've ever done in the past. And that is thanks to the confidence that we have in Prime Minister Modi and the policies followed by his government and your leadership. So no words of thanks are enough. Thank you very much. A great honor, a great privilege. Truly, truly, truly special. Thank you.
Republic takes you to the Kargil, where the Pakistani infiltrators had occupied the heights, and it was one of the toughest challenges for the Indian Army to get those heights back from the Pakistani infiltrators. It all started on the 3rd of May, and for 2 months, 3 weeks and 2 days, a fight took place between the Pakistani regulars and the infiltrators, who managed to get onto the heights, taking the advantage of the winters.
Hotel Management with AI. Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
Can you tell us what you talked about? Yes.
Just general.
We talked about the hospitals.
Talked about
Mr. Prime Minister,
having for lunch.
could you tell me, Mr. Prime Minister, how Kamala Harris's remarks yesterday might have impacted negotiations on a ceasefire deal?
Well, we're trying to get one, and I think to the extent that Hamas understands that there's no daylight between Israel and the United States, that expedites the deal, and I would hope that
Mr. President, do you have any reaction to Kamala Harris's remarks yesterday?
Say it.
Do you have any reaction to Kamala Harris's remarks yesterday after she met with the Prime Minister?
No, I have no remarks. She's a radical left person. San Francisco, destroyed San Francisco. She's really a destroyer. She doesn't know how to build. And I think her remarks were disrespectful. They weren't very nice pertaining to Israel. I actually don't know how a person who's Jewish can vote for her, but that's up to them. But she was certainly disrespectful to Israel, in my opinion.
Mr. Trump, has your relationship with the Prime Minister repaired at all?
No, it was never bad. I would say it was always good. No president has done what I've done for Israel, and we've always had a very good relationship. And if I didn't, I have a secret weapon. You know what it is? Sarah. Sitting right over here. I have Sarah. As long as I have Sarah, that's all that matters.
Do you feel like after this trip, Mr. Prime Minister, we're any closer to a ceasefire deal?
I hope so, but I think time will tell. We're certainly eager to have one, and we're working on it.
Can you tell us the status of the hostage negotiations?
I think there's been some movement because of the military pressure that we exerted. I hope that there'll be sufficient movement to get the deal completed.
That's a very tough situation, the hostages. They have to be given back immediately because there can be no way that they're in good shape. They're obviously not being treated properly. And you hope that they're okay, but there are a lot of hostages, I'm sure, that will not be okay. And it's just not an acceptable situation.
At a time when we are seeing so much conflict in the world, so much tension, so much polarization, so much bloodshed, it's very important that Gandhiji's message was that solutions do not come from a battlefield, that no era should be an era of war. And that message applies today as much as it did 80 years ago. A second message is something which we all think today in terms of sustainability. Gandhiji was the original prophet of sustainable growth. He was the greatest advocate of how to live in harmony with nature. So the message of Gandhiji, that it is not just something for governments to do, but for everybody to do in their personal life, that is something which again we pass on.
25 25 years ago, India changed what the nefarious plan of the Pakistan was. India occupied those heights that were never an easy task, and it was always the man behind the machine that actually made the difference.
Massive protests have erupted at Rajendra Nagar.
At the protest site at Karol Bagh metro station here, you can see the students are protesting at this point in time. They have blocked this road right now. The entire road has been choked, and here you can see they are sitting over here, and in their hands you can see the placards which reflects "मौत हुई है, कोई मजाक नहीं है." The Delhi police team is trying to remove the students from here, and they are trying to detain some of the students, but they are resisting it. They are not trying to go from this very place at this point in time. So what happened was that we have seen last evening that 3 students died in an unfortunate incident when they were stuck inside that building where they have come for a study in the library. What happened at that point of time? Water logging happened inside the basement for approximately 12 to 13 feet, and those students got stuck. And after that, 3 persons, which include 2 female students and 1 male students, have died. And right now here you can see all those students have come from very far. These are the UPSC aspirants who have come over here to raise their protest, to raise their demands.
As outrage and grief gripped the national capital over the deaths of 3 IAS aspirants, the BJP tore into AAP. Accusing the AAP of civic neglect, the BJP claimed local MLA Durgesh Pathak sat on pleas to clean the clogged stormwater drains in the area. Delhi Mayor Shelly Oberoi also came under heavy fire from the BJP.
पिछले 2 महीने से भारतीय जनता पार्टी अध्यक्ष के नाते हम दिल्ली की मंत्री से बार बार गुहार कर रहे हैं कि दिल्ली में नालों की सफाई नहीं हुई है, आपने भ्रष्टाचार के नालों की सफाई कराई। अगर नालों की सफाई हो जाती, वहाँ पानी ओवरफ्लो नहीं होता, तो बच्चे बचाए जा सकते थे।
Local MP and BJP leader Basuri Swaraj also lashed out at Pathak, saying the deaths could have been avoided had the drains been cleaned on time. Blaming the deaths on Pathak and Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Basuri alleged that no one from AAP visited the scene after the incident.
When we talk about them being aspirants, we're not talking about just their aspirations, we're also talking about the families and their aspirations which were attached with these children. It's extremely, extremely unfortunate. This is a case of clear-cut criminal negligence which has been done by the Honorable MLA Shri Durgesh Pathak ji and by the omission of the Kejriwal government.
Senior BJP leader RP Singh too flayed the AAP over the deaths, saying that the buck stopped with local MLA Pathak and the MCD.
लगातार सरकार से, MCD से, लोकल विधायक से, लोकल पार्षद से, आप मेरे सोशल हैंडल पे दे सकते हैं, हम लगातार पिछले हफ्ते भर से कह रहे हैं कि पानी का भराव हो रहा है। इस जगह पे नहीं, जहाँ पर विधायक रहते हैं उसके एरिया में भराव हो रहा है, परंतु क्योंकि डिसिल्टिंग हुई नहीं, डिसिल्टिंग पे घोटाला हुआ है और उसका भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है, उसके चलते आज ये परिस्थिति को हमको देखना पड़ रहा है। तो ये स्थिति का जिम्मेवार पूर्णतः दिल्ली सरकार, दिल्ली की पीडब्ल्यूडी की जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, ये MCD है, उनको इसकी चिंता करनी चाहिए थी, उन्होंने टाइम से चिंता नहीं की। उसका ये नतीजा है कि हमारे नौजवानों की जान गई, हमारे बच्चों की जान गई।
BJP national spokesperson Shehzad Poonawalla meanwhile blamed the deaths on the AAP's criminal civic apathy. He also called out the deafening silence of the AAP's Indi partner, Congress, over the tragic deaths.
देश की राष्ट्रीय राजधानी में 3 भविष्य उजाड़ दिए गए, जो भविष्य भारत की सेवा करते 3 UPSC एस्पिरेंट्स आज वो हमारे बीच नहीं रहे। इनकी हत्याओं के लिए कौन जिम्मेदार है? ये घटना नहीं है, ये राज्य प्रायोजित हत्याएं हैं क्योंकि वहां पर वो क्लासेस इस प्रकार से कैसे चल रही थी, किसकी अनदेखी थी? क्या सिविल अथॉरिटीज की अनदेखी नहीं हुई? क्या उसमें भ्रष्टाचार नहीं था? स्थानीय विधायक की जवाबदेही होनी चाहिए और आतिशी जी को भी कोई प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके दोषारोपण नहीं, अपनी जिम्मेदारी उठाते हुए अकाउंटेबिलिटी देनी चाहिए।
The biggest strike on the AAP came from its own Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament Swati Maliwal, who called the deaths murder. The former DCW chairperson also vowed to raise the matter in the Parliament.
मेरी छात्रों से बात हुई है, छात्र बहुत गुस्से में हैं और मैं ये मानती हूँ कि ये कहीं से भी सरकारी लापरवाही का मामला नहीं है, ये मर्डर का मामला है। ये मर्डर हुआ है, एफआईआर दर्ज होनी चाहिए। बच्चों ने ये तक बताया कि किस तरीके से काउंसलर को 10 से 12 दिन पहले बार बार बोला गया कि ये जो ड्रेनेज हो गया है, खराब हो गया है, इस ड्रेनेज को ठीक कीजिए, लेकिन कोई कार्यवाही नहीं करी गई। पार्लियामेंट में ये मुद्दा उठाऊंगी। ये मुद्दा दिल्ली देश की राजधानी का है, ये पार्लियामेंट का मुद्दा है, क्योंकि ये जो बच्चे मरे हैं ये देश के कोने कोने से आते हैं। गरीब से गरीब बच्चा यहाँ पे आकर अपनी एक बड़ी उड़ान लेने का सपना देखता है और ये हाल है, ये हाल बना रखा है दिल्ली देश की राजधानी का।
As anger mounts over the West Delhi deaths and the BJP guns for the AAP, the moot question is, can the ruling party dodge accountability?
All right, coming up after a short break, rolling coverage of the Manu Bhaker story.
Yeah, I think everything that I've been through, I want to push the limits. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I'm still capable of so that once I step away from the sport, I can truly be happy with my career and say I gave it my all. And that's how I feel like currently in this position.
Yes.
Just general.
We talked about the hot dogs.
Talked about
Mr. Prime
what we're
Minister,
having for lunch.
could you tell me, Mr. Prime Minister, how Kamala Harris's remarks yesterday?
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
I feel really happy that I could win this medal for all of us, and this is coming home after so long, so many years it's been for shooting in the like winning a medal, podium finish and all.
Manu Bhaker wins bronze in women's 10-meter air pistol, gets first medal for India at Paris Olympics.
खूब अभिनंदन, आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर।
तो ये तुम्हारी सफलता की खबर सुनने के बाद और उत्साह और आनंद में हो।
Prime Minister Modi dials Manu and congratulates her after she scripts history and wins bronze medal. Three students killed after floodwater enters coaching institute in Delhi's coaching hub area of Rajendra Nagar. Glaring lapses come out in the fore. But BJP and Aam Aadmi Party continue to pass the blame. Students stage massive protest against political tourism. Meanwhile, both accused stand 14 days of judicial custody, but students ask, is this action enough to compensate for the lives lost? Good evening and welcome, friends. And in fact, let's begin this live and breaking with a breaking news development coming in connection with the Delhi Coaching Center tragedy. Information is that the MCD Municipal Corporation of Delhi is in action, and a team has reached to seal illegal basements of many coaching centers. Remember, in this Rajendra Nagar area where this ill-fated incident happened, there are many coaching centers, in one of which this tragedy panned out last evening, leading to the death of 3 IAS or civil services aspirants. And now MCD getting into action, of course belated. Had this action happened in time, those 3 lives could have been saved, and this action might not be enough. In fact, we know what has exactly happened at Rajendra Nagar, where 3 students lost their life because they were in a basement which was supposed to be a go-down and not a library, but it was turned into a library illegally, and they were studying there when the flood waters came gushing in, and this was like a storm flood where because of high intensity of rains in Delhi yesterday, waterlogging happened, and as can be seen in the pictures, the gates were opened leading to the water gushing inside the complex and then into the basement area, and some glaring lapses coming out of those moments which made escape for those 3 students difficult. In fact, I am joined in the studio by Divyanshu Yadav, right? Divyanshu Yadav is a civil services aspirant himself. He in fact is a student of that IAS training center, the Rouse IAS training center, where this tragedy panned out last evening. In fact, Divyanshu, you suggested that you were actually there yesterday when this episode happened. Maybe not at that exact time, but you attended your own classes yesterday.
Yes,
Please
sir.
tell us how, what exactly happened.
सर मैं वहाँ पे बैठ के लाइब्रेरी में अपने आंसर राइटिंग कर रहा था और 12 बजे के आसपास मैं घर चला गया था अपने फ्लैट पे, मुझे थोड़ा सा काम था। तो 7 बजे के आसपास मुझे फ़ोन करके बताया मेरे दोस्त ने कि यहाँ पे आओ, कुछ हो गई, समस्या हो गई है, पानी भर गया है सब। तो मैं वहाँ पे आया तो मैंने देखा तो मतलब एक बहुत ही तेज़ मात्रा में पानी, जो एकदम फ्लैश, जो आपने वीडियोस भी देखे होंगी, सब देखे होंगी, एकदम सीधे अंदर जा रहा था। पानी हमेशा वहाँ भरा रहता था, कोचिंग के अंदर ही भरा रहता था। उसको प्लास्टिक की स्लैब लगा के रोकते थे, लेकिन जब बहुत प्रेशर से पानी गया तो सब अंदर जा रहा था। जो अंदर से दोस्त निकल के बाहर आया मेरा, उसने मुझसे बताया कि 5 फीट तक पानी 30 सेकंड के अंदर उसके अंदर पहुंच गया था।
30 सेकंड में 5 फीट पानी अंदर आ गया था
सर, क्योंकि वो लो लाइंग एरिया है और पूरी रोड पे पानी भरा रहता है, और उस वहाँ पे किसी और बिल्डिंग में बेसमेंट नहीं है उस जगह पे, सिर्फ इन्होंने छुपा के कंसील करके बेसमेंट बना रखा है।
तो आप उसमें बेसमेंट में क्या है, क्या करते हैं वहाँ?
बेसमेंट में सर बेसिकली आप जैसे आपने अभी बताया ना कि वो एक स्टोरेज रूम था, वहाँ पे हम लोग को कोर्स मटेरियल मिलते थे, टेस्ट सीरीज के कोर्स मटेरियल मिलते थे एंड डिफरेंट बुकलेट्स देते थे। लेकिन उसी पे इन्होंने 100 से 150 कुर्सियाँ लगा दी कि आप लोग इसी में टेस्ट सीरीज अपनी कर लेना, और जब बच्चा एडमिशन लेने जाता है तो ये ऑफर देते हैं कि राजेंद्र और वारन में लाइब्रेरीज महंगी हैं, 3000 से लेके 5000 तक रुपए की हैं। तो ये पर मंथ
3 to 5,000 rupees just to sit there.
एंड ये कहते हैं कि हम लाइब्रेरी बना रहे हैं, लेकिन आप अभी उसको यूज कर सकते हो।
तो it is proper library, like with books, periodicals,
no,
everything.
Sir. We have to carry our items.
It is just a seating area.
Just sitting area.
And how big an area?
Sir, around 100 and 120 people can sit there.
120 people can sit there.
Yes, sir.
And you are just studying.
Just studying.
तो और एंट्री और एग्जिट का एक्सेस का क्या तरीका है?
सर बहुत ही खराब तरीका है। एक स्टेयरकेस है, उससे आप ऐसे सीधे जाओगे पहले, फिर आप लेफ्ट लोगे, फिर लेफ्ट लोगे, फिर राइट लोगे, फिर लेफ्ट पे गेट है, वो भी ग्लास का गेट है। और सर जैसे कल की खबर है, कल मैं वहाँ पे मौजूद था तो इन लोगों ने तुरंत लाइट बंद कर दी, जैसे पानी अंदर जाने लगा लाइट बंद कर दी। सर अगर आप दिन के 12 बजे में जब पूरा सूरज की रोशनी हो तब अगर आप लाइट बंद कर दो तो आदमी उसके अंदर डर जाएगा, क्योंकि वेंटिलेशन का कोई रास्ता ही नहीं है, ना कोई गेट है। जैसे मैंने बताया ना, इतना कंसील करके गेट बनाया हुआ है, तब आदमी तब घबरा जाएगा। तो जो बच्चे अंदर फंसे हुए थे, जब इन्होंने लाइट बंद कर दी और पानी आ रहा है तो उसी पैनिक में डेथ हुई है। तो ये जो डेथ हुई है ना, इसका मेन जिम्मेदार जो है वो राउस आईएएस ही है, और दूसरे जिम्मेदार है ये एमसीडी ऑफिशियल्स, जिनको पता था, उनको तो सर पता था, इंस्पेक्शंस भी होते हैं, इन्होंने एनओसी दी कि वहां पे स्टोरेज रूम बनेगा, लेकिन वहां पे चेयर्स लगे, सबने देखा। तो सर कैसे ये पॉसिबल है कि वो लाइब्रेरी चलती रही, वहां पे चेयर्स लगा दी?
तो स्टूडेंट्स ने पहले कभी इस बारे में ध्यान दिलाया था?
सर कई बार ध्यान दिलाया है कि पानी ऊपर भरा रहता है, शूज गंदे हो जाते हैं, कपड़े गंदे हो जाते हैं, तो ये लोग ईंटें रख देते हैं या कोई स्लैब लगा देते हैं कि शूज गंदे ना हो, आदमी निकल जाए। वही पानी थोड़ा थोड़ा नीचे चला जाता है तो ये लोग साफ सफाई कर देते हैं। लेकिन किसी को ये उम्मीद नहीं थी कि इतना ज्यादा पानी आ जाएगा। उम्मीद दूसरी की लाइट वाइट की डर रहता था, लेकिन इतनी भारी मात्रा में पानी आ जाएगा ये किसी ने नहीं सोचा था।
तो रिपोर्ट्स ऐसी भी हैं कि कुछ स्टूडेंट्स ने कंप्लेन भी करी थी?
हाँ जी सर, मेरे साथ का एक दोस्त है, उसने कंप्लेन की थी, 12 दिन पहले कंप्लेन की थी उसने, और एमसीडी में कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया। आनंद पर्वत ऑफिस में अभी भी पेंडिंग पड़ी है।
सिर्फ 12 दिन पहले कंप्लेन की?
12 दिन पहले कंप्लेन की थी, एग्जैक्ट। और सर एक और बात आपको बताता हूँ, जिस दिन की ये घटना है, ये राउस वाले एक डीएनएस करके प्रोग्राम चलाते हैं जिसमें करंट अफेयर्स बताते हैं। तो जो टीचर क्लास ले रहे थे लाइव, आप वीडियो आप यूट्यूब पे देखोगे, अभी डिलीट नहीं किया होगा उन्होंने, तो दिख जाएगी, डाउनलोड कर रखी है हम लोगों ने। तो उसमें ये बोल रहे हैं टीचर कि इसको जल्दी जल्दी मैं निपटा देता हूँ, पानी आ रहा है, नहीं तो मैं घर नहीं जा पाऊंगा।
ऐसा कोई वीडियो है?
ऐसा वीडियो है सर, सर राउस आईएएस के टीचर फैकल्टी का वीडियो है खुद का।
कितने दिन पहले का?
सेम डे का सर,
कितने बजे का है
ये सर करीब वही 6 बजे घटना घटी है। 6 बजे शुरू हुआ है पानी आना, उससे जस्ट पहले का। सर उनको सारी जानकारी थी राउस आईएएस वालों को, लेकिन सर जानबूझ के सर बताइए ऐसा किया है, क्या बीत रही है। मतलब आप स्टूडेंट अंदर पढ़ने गया है, बैठ के पढ़ते पढ़ते सर मौत हो जाए किसी की, इससे भयानक।
वहाँ उस समय कितने लोग रहे होंगे अंदर?
उस समय 30 से 35 लोग थे।
और सब निकल आए?
सब निकल रहे थे, लाइट बंद कर दी इन लोगों ने ना, तो लाइट बंद कर दी, तो जो निकल रहे थे उसमें कुछ पैनिक हो गए, पानी और बढ़ गया अचानक से 5 फीट बढ़ा। कुछ तैर लेते तो तैर के आए, तो एनडीआरएफ वालों ने जब निकाला है तो बहुतों को पानी निकाला है। टोटल 13 लोग अंदर ट्रैप हो गए थे, इनको एनडीआरएफ की मदद से। सर इसमें कमी थोड़ी अथॉरिटीज की भी रही है, हल्की सी, कि पहले दिल्ली पुलिस पहुंची वहां पे, कांस्टेबल्स, तो वो लोग मिटिगेट जल्दी नहीं कर पाए, कहे कि बिजली फैल जाएगी या पानी बाहर निकालते, तो दिल्ली फायर सर्विस को बुला लिया। लेकिन फायर सर्विस वाले जब तक मोटर लाते तो पानी पूरा भर चुका, तो स्कूबा डाइवर्स आने में टाइम लग गया, क्योंकि वहां पे ड्राइवर्स की जरूरत थी। और कोर्स मटेरियल था सर, सब चेयर्स थी, तो सब डूब के ऊपर आ गई।
तो आपको लगता है ये सब लोग जो वहां पढ़ते हैं, आईएएस सिविल सर्विसेज के एस्पिरेंट्स हैं, कोई आईएएस बनेगा, कोई आईपीएस बनेगा, ये समझ में आता है कि ये मैनमेड डिजास्टर है, ये करप्शन के कारण है, एक ही कारण है उसका, करप्शन।
बिल्कुल सर, एक 110% करप्शन है। सर आप बताइए ना, मतलब हमारा देश विकसित भारत के मैप पे चल रहा है कि हम 2047 तक विकसित भारत बनाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन सर ऐसा कैसे चलेगा कि सब लोग, एमसीडी तो इतना करप्ट डिपार्टमेंट है एमसीडी, ये लोग ऐसा लीगलाइज कर दिए हैं कि आप इतना पैसा दो हम ये चला देंगे। आप सर अभी नोटिस निकाली एमसीडी ने, और एक सबसे बड़ी बात है ना कि ये लोग पावर ही नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। अब मैंने देखा भी मेयर इतना हेल्पलेस फील कर रही है कि मैंने लेटर लिखा है अपने कमिश्नर को कि आप जाके एक्शन लो। अब सर ये बताइए कोई बात होती है कि मेयर है, जो चुना हुआ मेयर है, वो लेटर लिख रहा है कमिश्नर को कि जाओ एक्शन लो जाके। ये सर ये तो
ये बताइए, ये जो स्टूडेंट्स सारे वहाँ, आप कब से पढ़ रहे हैं वहाँ पे?
सर मैं 9 महीने से पढ़ रहा हूँ, पिछले
9 महीने से। हाँ। तो ये लगभग दूसरी बार बरसात का एक सीजन आया, आप कह रहे हैं आगे भी वाटर लॉगिंग हो जाती है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
तो कितनी बार स्टूडेंट्स ने सेंटर में जाके बोला कि ये समस्या हो सकती है?
सर हमेशा बोलते रहते हैं, बता तो रहा हूँ मैं, जब आप अंदर आदमी जाता है तो वही पानी भर जाता है, लेकिन वो जब बना देते हैं तो आदमी कहता है कि मैं निकल जा रहा हूँ, बेसमेंट में सारे लोग जाते नहीं है, तो इसकी वजह से रह जाता है। सर एक और बात मैं इसमें ऐड करना चाहूंगा कि सर 1,75,500 मिनिमम एक बच्चे की फीस लेते हैं ये लोग वन टाइम में। और सर अब उसके बाद ये ऐसी मौत हो जाए, और सर इतना इलीगल है, कोचिंग है, सारी भी जांच करेंगे लोग, फिर से चलने लगेगा सर, और चलना नहीं चाहिए। और सर जैसे 3 बच्चों की मौत हो गई, तो वहाँ बहुत सारे बच्चे ऐसे हैं जो वहाँ पे अब नहीं पढ़ना चाहेंगे। सर आप बताइए, जैसे कोई मैं हूँ, अब मैं उस लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के पढ़ना, मैं तो नहीं पढ़ पाऊंगा, कभी नहीं पढ़ पाऊंगा मैं, कि जहाँ पे 3 मौतें हुई हूँ। तो सर मैं ये मांग करता हूँ कि राउस आप लोग भी मदद करिए, सब लोग मदद करिए, कि जो स्टूडेंट ये मतलब मरने तो कोई आया नहीं, पढ़ने आया है, तो हम पढ़ लेंगे, कहीं से पढ़ लेंगे, लेकिन अगर हम अपना एडमिशन कैंसिल कराते हैं तो इन लोगों को पूरी फीस रिफंड करनी चाहिए। ये मुद्दा सर आपको उठाना चाहिए।
दिव्यांशु, मैं आपसे बात जारी रखूंगा, पर हमारे साथ एक और स्टूडेंट जुड़ रहे हैं। इनफैक्ट हरेंद्र चौहान वॉज प्रेजेंट, आप सुबह थे पर हरेंद्र चौहान तो शाम को वहां पे थे जिस समय ये वाकया हुआ। हरेंद्र चौहान, आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं? आर यू एबल टू लिसन टू मी?
हाँ सर, सुन पा रहा हूँ, आवाज आ रही है आपकी?
आप आई विटनेस हैं, आप जरा हमें थोड़ा दर्शकों के लिए बताएं कि वो क्या मंजर था, कैसे एकदम से पानी आया। दिव्यांशु हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में बैठे, वो बता रहे हैं कि 5 सेकंड में या 30 सेकंड में करीब 5 फीट पानी भर गया था वहां पे। आप खुद वहां मौजूद थे, बताइए उस समय घटना कैसे हुई?
सर एक्चुअली क्या थे, बारिश स्टार्ट जैसे ही हुई थी तो हम लोग 2-3 लोग थे, तो ऊपर आके हम फ्रेंड्स के साथ अपने चाय पीने के लिए निकलने वाले थे एक्चुअली। लेकिन बारिश थोड़ी तेज हो गई, तो सोचा चलो पढ़ने बैठ रहे हैं लाइब्रेरी में, उसके बाद बारिश बंद हो जाएगी। और लाइब्रेरी राउस की जो है 7 बजे बंद हो जाती है, वो क्लोज हो जाती है, 7 बजे का टाइम है उसका क्लोज होने का। तो फिर सोचा चलो मतलब बैठ जाते हैं जाके। 10 मिनट हम बैठ पाए होंगे, लगभग 6:40 का टाइम अप्रोक्स होगा। उस टाइम पे सडनली एक जो गार्डमैन थे वो नीचे साउट करते हुए चिल्लाते हुए आए कि तुरंत खाली करो, खाली करो, जैसे जो बैठे हो तुरंत से जल्दी से लाइब्रेरी खाली करो, बहुत तेज पानी आ रहा। बस उन्होंने इतना लास्टली बोला है, और वैसे ही स्टूडेंट हम लोग उठ दिए। जैसे हम लोग उठे तो सामने वाले उसमें 2 एग्जिट जो गेट थे, जो मतलब बाहर निकलने के लिए, एंट्री और एग्जिट दोनों गेट के बैक साइड में। तो सर उसमें जो क्या था, पीछे वाले जो गेट थे उसमें से पानी पहले आना स्टार्ट हो गया था। तो वहां हमने पानी आ चुका है, तो सभी बच्चे जो मैंने एंट्री गेट था उसमें से निकलना स्टार्ट हो गए। तो जितने तेजी से निकले उतनी ही तेजी से पानी, बहुत तेजी से सर, जो स्पीड पानी की थी, जो फ्लो था, वो आप इमेजिन नहीं कर सकते हो, बहुत ज्यादा था उस टाइम पे। तो हम जितने निकल पाए उस टाइम पे जल्दी से निकल गए, और हमें बाहर नहीं निकाला गया, मतलब कोचिंग से बाहर नहीं निकाला गया, हमें ऊपर वाले फ्लोर पे शिफ्ट किया गया था। कि कोचिंग से बाहर वो स्टाफ वाले कह रहे थे बाहर बहुत ज्यादा पानी भरा है, रोड भी ब्लॉक है और आपका जो कोचिंग पूरी भरी हुई है, तो आप ऊपर जाओ, ऊपर सेफ हो आप लोग, इस वजह से।
तो आप दौड़े ऊपर, और बाकी लोग क्यों नहीं दौड़ पाए जैसे आप आ गए बाहर?
बाकी एक्चुअली बात क्या थी सर, क्या बाकी लोग, जो कुछ लोग ऐसे थे कॉर्नर में बैठे थे बिल्कुल, जो आपका अंडर बेसमेंट में जो कॉर्नर साइड होते हैं, तो कुछ मतलब बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं डिस्टर्ब होना नहीं चाहते, तो बिल्कुल अपना फोन आप पकड़ के बैठते हैं। तो जो बच्चे उस साइड पे बैठे थे बिल्कुल, जो डीप में बैठे थे जाके, और इतना एक्सपेक्ट नहीं किया था कि पानी इस तरीके से मतलब आपको फ्लो करेगा। क्यों पानी नीचे आता है तो पहले ये लगता है कि पैर पे जाएगा या फिर थोड़ा थोड़ा धीमे बढ़ेगा।
हरेंद्र, 1 मिनट के लिए रुकिएगा, आप रुके रहिए मेरे साथ। एक्चुअली ग्राउंड से एक रिपोर्ट आ रही है, मुझे वो थोड़ा देखनी है, दर्शकों को दिखानी है। Outside the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, I believe Anjali from Republic Bharat is there reporting live, and let's cut to her. There is a breaking news development also. The matter is all set to reach the Delhi High Court with a petition being filed, and Anjali perhaps has more details if we can go to her. The civic apathy case now is all set to be heard in the High Court. It's unfortunate that only after these kind of tragedies pan out that the higher ups get into action mode. Anjali is live with us. Anjali, आप शायद म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ दिल्ली एमसीडी के बाहर हैं, बताएं एमसीडी क्या एक्शन कर रही है, और कोई जवाब है उनके पास कि इस तरह की जो त्रासदी होती है उसके बाद वो एक्शन में हरकत में आते हैं?
बिल्कुल, जैसा कि अभी ये एक्शन लिया गया है, मेरी मौजूदगी इस वक्त राजेंद्र नगर पर है, और एक्शन लिया गया है। दरअसल करोल बाग के टोटल 7 प्रॉपर्टी को सील किया गया है। इसके अलावा राजेंद्र नगर की 3 प्रॉपर्टी को सील किया गया है, और जो दस्तावेज, जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स इन मालिकों के पास पहले से ही मौजूद थे किसी भी बिल्डिंग में कोचिंग चलाने के लिए, तो बेसमेंट में ये पाया गया है कि बेसमेंट में पहले ही अनुमति नहीं दी गई थी एमसीडी की ओर से कि यहाँ पर लाइब्रेरी या फिर क्लासेस चलाई जाए। बेसमेंट में सिर्फ और सिर्फ पार्किंग और स्टोरेज की ही अनुमति थी। तो यहाँ पर नियमों की अनदेखी की गई है इन कोचिंग संचालकों की ओर से, और इसके बाद ये एक्शन लिया गया है एमसीडी की ओर से। लेकिन एमसीडी की ओर से अभी तक ऐसा कोई जवाब नहीं आया है। जब नाराजगी देखी गई शैली ओबराय का पोस्टर जिस पर कालिक पोती गई, उसके बाद ये एक्शन देखा गया, यानी कि इससे पहले कई बार शिकायत भी दर्ज की जा चुकी थी। और वही राउज जो कोचिंग है उसके ही एक स्टूडेंट ने शिकायत कराई थी 26 जून को, उसके बावजूद वहां पर कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया गया एमसीडी की ओर से। तो फिलहाल अब जब छात्रों का लगातार प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है तब एक्शन लिया जा रहा है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, action only follows when these kind of tragedies pan out. I continue my thank you so much Anjali for joining us. I continue my conversation with Harendra, who's a witness to that incident.
Sir, I want
yes Harendra, please go ahead.
Hridesh नाम है।
बोलिए हरेंद्र।
तो सर एक्चुअली मेरा नाम हृदेश है, हृदेश,
सो सॉरी, हृदेश।
तो हम लोग जब बाहर से, मतलब हम उस टाइम से बाहर जब निकलना स्टार्ट हुए, तो जितने बच्चे बाहर, बहुत सारे, मतलब स्टार्टिंग के 35 से 40 बच्चे अप्रोक्स होंगे, 30-35 इतने ही, मतलब इतने ही होंगे। तो हम लोग निकल चुके थे उस टाइम तक। लेकिन जब ऊपर हमें बिठा दिया गया, तब तक नीचे से आवाज आई कि गेट टूट गया, जो मेन गेट, जो उसमें एंट्री गेट था सर, कांच का बना हुआ था, वो कांच का गेट टूट गया। उसके बाद जो बच्चे निकलने की कोशिश कर रहे थे वो गेट में कुछ स्टक हुए गेट की वजह से, और गेट की वजह से 1-2 बच्चे मेरे साथ जो ऊपर, जो बाद में निकल के आया, उसके काफी चोटें भी आई हुई थी, कैजुअलिटी यहाँ पर उनके हुई थी, काफी सिर में और उनके पूरे शरीर पे ब्लड लगा हुआ था उस टाइम पे। फिर वहां ट्रीटमेंट किया गया। तो जो ये 7-8 बच्चे फिर बाद में जो बच्चे रह गए हैं सर, वो फ्लड इतनी तेजी से पानी भरा, 5 मिनट के अंदर पूरा बेसमेंट ओवरफ्लो हो चुका था सर।
5 मिनट में? ये कितना स्क्वायर फीट में आइडिया दीजिए, ये कितना बड़ा बेसमेंट है अंदाजन? कितना बड़ा एरिया है, कितना मतलब हॉल जो है जहाँ पे बैठते हैं सब, कितना बड़ा है?
सर इतना तो नहीं, इतना मतलब अंदाजा तो नहीं लगाया, लेकिन उसमें ये है कि लगभग 200 बच्चे का आप बैठ के एक बार मॉक टेस्ट दे सकते हैं।
200 बच्चे?
हाँ, अब उसमें मॉक टेस्ट होते थे और उस हिसाब से सीटें
करीब 2000 स्क्वायर फीट का तो एरिया होगा।
पूरी सर जितनी बिल्डिंग है ना इनकी, पूरी ऊपर जो दिखती है पूरी नीचे बेसमेंट है ये।
हाँ पूरा बेसमेंट है,
पूरा बेसमेंट।
तो ये जो बात है कि बिजली बंद कर दी और उसके कारण वो जो बायोमेट्रिक एग्जिट एक्सेस कंट्रोल होता है वो बंद हो गया और फिर स्टूडेंट्स बाहर नहीं निकल पाए, ये बात कितनी सही है?
नहीं सर, वो बंद लाइट इस वजह से काटी गई थी क्योंकि उसमें कहीं करंट या कहीं ऐसा फ्लो ना हो जाए जो बच्चे ऊपर है पूरे बिल्डिंग में फिर करंट ना आ जाए, इस वजह से बंद किया गया। और लाइट बंद करने के बाद पता ही नहीं था कि उस 5 मिनट पहले बात पता नहीं था बच्चे इसमें हैं। जब लास्ट एक जो बच्चा पानी से निकल के ऊपर आया था उसने बताया कि मेरे पैर में टच हुए हैं कुछ हाथ पैर, तो वहां पर अभी कुछ बचे हुए हैं। उसने जब बताया कि तब हम लोगों को लगभग 5 मिनट बाद ये पता चला कि अभी भी उसमें बच्चे फंसे हुए हैं।
तो मतलब सिक्योरिटी लैप्स तो हुआ है कि जब वो गार्ड नीचे आया चिल्ला के बताया कि आप निकलिए, वो खुद वहां रुका नहीं जब तक कि आखिरी बच्चा निकल ना जाए।
हाँ नहीं, रुका कोई नहीं, क्योंकि उस टाइम पे सभी को फिर अपना यही इस तरीके से निकलना ही हुआ। जो वहां पर केयर कर मतलब जो आपका उसमें बैठते थे जो एक सर पे, वो भी फिर साथ में निकल दिए। पर मैंने मतलब किसी ने देखा नहीं कौन निकल रहा है कौन नहीं निकला, जिसे जब मतलब जो उस आप वीडियो में देख सकते हैं कि उस तरीके से निकाला ही गया है जैसे जो निकला, तो नहीं देखा कि कौन रह गया कौन, पहले अपने खुद को ही निकाला।
ये जो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण तरीके से 3 लोगों की जान गई है, 3 एस्पिरेंट्स की जान गई है, उसमें से किसी को आप पर्सनली जानते थे?
पर्सनली सर लाइब्रेरी में जो बैठते हैं कभी कभी किसी से बात हो जाती है रैंडमली, कोई अब जैसे किसी के साथ में बैठ गया जाके, वैसे मेरे न बैच का है ना जीएस का है ऑप्शनल का है, लेकिन अगर साथ में लाइव बैठे हैं तो कुछ डिस्कस हो गया। बट हाँ, इन्हें एक जो थी श्वेता स्नेहा यादव,
हाँ
उनको एक दो बार हम लोग PHR में उनकी फ्रेंड थी, तो इस हिसाब से उन्हें बात कभी एक बार हुई थी।
तो अब क्या करना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये तो MCD सील करेगा और जो पुलिस है वो अपनी तफ्तीश करेगी और जो सेंटर के लोग हैं मैनेजमेंट के उसमें से 2 को तो हिरासत में लेके जुडिशियल कस्टडी में भेज दिया है, पर ये खाना पूरी हो जाएगी, सब भूल जाएंगे लोग 15 दिन बाद, 1 महीने बाद।
सर MCD अब अपना काम अब कर रही है, वो काम मैंने 7 बजे कॉल लगाया था सर MCD को, और जो उसका नकुल लड़का था, उसकी जो बहन जिसकी डेथ हुई है, मतलब उसकी लगती थी कजन, वो रो रहा था और हम लोग सब चिल्ला रहे थे। आसपास की कोचिंग बिल्डिंग्स और सारे सड़क के बाहर इधर रोड पर सब सुन रहे थे। कोई अब आप देखिए कोचिंग्स अब सारी इकट्ठी हो जाती है कि अब सब छुट्टी कर रहे हैं और सब अपना एकजुट हैं कि हम ये, लेकिन उस टाइम पे सर सिंगल पर्सन किसी आसपास आपके बाजीराम पास में बगल में थी, उसके बाद उसके ये आपकी श्रीराम IAS, मतलब उस टाइम पे कोई भी बंदा किसी भी कोचिंग से कोई हेल्प के लिए कोई नहीं। हम बच्चे ही आपस में चिल्ला रहे थे, रस्सी नहीं थी, पाइप डाल के वो कंडीशन सर मैं आई कैन नॉट एक्सप्लेन दैट
सर।
यस दिव्यांशु, आप बताइए।
सर इसमें मैं एक बात ऐड करना चाहूँगा, जैसे आपने बताया ना एक्शन क्या लेंगे, सो सर ये कोचिंग जो माफिया है वहाँ पे, सारे माफिया सिंडिकेट है इनका, ये पहले से तैयार है। मेरा एक ग्रुप है, एक कोचिंग है ऑप्शनल मैंने की है, वैद ICS करके एंथ्रोपोलॉजी के ऑप्शनल कराते हैं, तो उनका मैं मैसेज दिखाऊँ अगर आपको, तो उनका पहले से मैसेज आ गया है कि हम लोग बेसमेंट में क्लासें अब नहीं करवाएंगे फर्दर नोटिस तक, तब तक स्टडी रूम में आप लोग मत पढ़िएगा, हम वहाँ क्लासेस कराएंगे। मतलब वो पहले से तैयार है।
ऑब्वियसली वो तो अब तो कोई करने नहीं देगा ना, वो
पहले से तैयार है कि हम 15 दिन रोक लेंगे, फिर मामला ठंडा पड़ जाएगा, हम फिर से क्लासेस शुरू कर देंगे। तो सर ये MCD की बहुत बड़ी सर सबसे बड़ी बात है ना कि इतनी बड़ी घटना हो जाती है। पिछली बार जैसे मुखर्जी नगर में आग लगी थी 1 साल पहले, संस्कृति आई उसमें सर चल रही।
ये बताइए, ये जो MCD के जो कमिश्नर है वो IAS ऑफिसर हैं, है ना, जो बिजली अधिकारी हैं उनके बॉस कोई IAS ऑफिसर होंगे, आप लोग IAS बनने वाले हैं, तो ये करप्शन कहाँ शुरू होता है? आप तो अभी सोचते नहीं होंगे कि हम जाके करप्शन करेंगे।
बस सर इसी बात का दुख है, असली दुख इसी बात का है कि वो लोग कोई एक्शन नहीं लेते सर। और मेरा तो मानना है कि सर प्लीज कि कम से कम MCD का कोई आदमी, एक अधिकारी इस्तीफा तो दे, NOC वाला इस्तीफा दे, जो NOC वेरीफाई करता है, जो इंस्पेक्शन करता है या जो एक्शन लेता है, एक इस्तीफा तो करवा दो कम से कम। कभी सर कोई एक्शन ही नहीं होता है। तभी इनका सिंडिकेट चलता रहता है।
लेवल पे एमसीडी ने कभी कोई ना एक्शन लिया, ना उन्होंने कभी कोई अपनी तरफ से ऐसे कोई भी काम किया हो।
सर इतना पैसा ये लोग खिला देते हैं ना कि एक्शन क्या ही लेंगे वो लोग।
तो पैसा तो आपका ही है ना।
वही सर, पीस क्या ही बताया जाए, इतना पैसा लेते हैं सब कि मैनेज कर रहे हैं अपने।
ऐसे पैसे लाते हैं, उस हिसाब से यहाँ पढ़ते हैं।
आप कहाँ से आते हैं हृदेश?
यूपी से सर।
कहाँ से?
कासगंज।
कासगंज से। और आप कितना महीने का खर्चा करके यहाँ दिल्ली में रह रहे हैं, पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं?
हाँ सर, लगभग 15,000 हो गया।
और फिर ये सब देखने को मिलता है।
सर अब मैं रहना नहीं चाहता।
तो डर का माहौल है क्या?
डर का माहौल नहीं है, लेकिन सर डर किस बात से? डर है सिस्टम से, डर है यहाँ की व्यवस्था, जो यहाँ का लोकल पूरा इकोसिस्टम बना हुआ, उससे डर है कोचिंग, मतलब कोचिंग वाले क्या वो पढ़ाते हैं, पढ़ाने के बाद बच्चा कहाँ गया, क्या किया उसके, और वो क्या कर रहा है, वे केयर ही नहीं करते, दे डोंट केयर। अब कहीं भी जाओ ना, बच्चे बस आ जाओ, फीस जमा एक बार करवा लो, फर्स्ट टाइम पेमेंट करवा लो, बाकी बाद में वो पढ़ाएं, छुट्टी करें, कुछ भी करें। आपको क्या लगता है ये कोचिंग वाले कह देते हैं कि चलो ठीक है आपका 6 महीने में कोर्स खत्म हो जाएगा और वो टाइम, लेकिन क्या 10-10 महीने क्लासेस लगाती। अब आप मैं वैसे नहीं चाह रहा था।
देखिए व्यूअर्स, यू नो, फॉर सिविल सर्विस एस्पिरेंट्स टू से that they are scared of the system is a sad commentary on the system. And though MCD commissioner and the IAS officer who helps the electricity supply, remember just few days back we had another civil service aspirant getting electrocuted in Delhi in a very similar circumstance while negotiating a waterlogged road walking back home. Imagine, these are civil service aspirants, those 3 unfortunate dead. They could have been an IAS officer or an IPS officer, they would have become part of the system. What example the system is setting, what example the system is projecting for these very idealist youth who are aspiring for that office. I think it's a sad commentary on the manner in which the MCD is really managing the affairs. Hopefully this would act as a wake-up call. Thank you so much Divyanshu and Hridesh for joining us, and remember, tomorrow we are going to follow this story as closely as we can to bring you every aspect of corruption which led to this tragedy panning out on Saturday. And in fact, it's going to be our focus all day Monday, that's tomorrow. Keep watching for the latest on how the investigation is panning out as we try to hold those responsible for this accountable. Moving on, and I'm getting a breaking news development coming in, and this is in connection with Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy, and the information is that while addressing a press conference, he suffered from a health condition, and we are getting to hear that H.D. Kumaraswamy was at a press conference in Hyderabad where this incident seems to have happened. His nose started bleeding. Okay, let's go into a break and then we come back. All right, coming up after a short break, rolling coverage of the Manu Bhaker story.
Yeah, I think everything that I've been through, I want to push the limits. I want to see how far I can go. I want to see what I'm still capable of so that once I step away from the sport, I can truly be happy with my career and say I gave it my all. And that's how I feel like currently in this position.
All right, coming up after a short break, rolling coverage of the Manu Bhaker story.
Can you tell us what you talked about? Yes.
Just general.
We talked about the hot dogs.
Talked about
Mr. Prime Minister,
having for lunch.
could you tell me, Mr. Prime Minister, how Kamala Harris's remarks yesterday might have impacted negotiations on a ceasefire deal?
Well, we're trying to get one, and I think to the extent that Hamas understands that there's no daylight between Israel and the United States, that expedites the deal, and I would hope that
I feel really happy that I could win this medal for all of us, and this is coming home after so long, so many years it's been for shooting in the like winning a medal, podium finish and all.
Manu Bhaker wins bronze in women's 10-meter air pistol, gets first medal for India at Paris Olympics.
अभिनंदन, आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर।
तो ये तुम्हारी सफलता की खबर सुनने के बाद और उत्साह और आनंद में हो।
Prime Minister dials Manu Bhaker and congratulates her after she scripts history and wins bronze medal. 3 students killed after floodwater enters coaching institute in Delhi's coaching hub area Rajendra Nagar. Glaring lapses come to the fore. But BJP and Aam Aadmi Party continue to pass the blame. Students stage massive protest against political tourism. Meanwhile, both accused sent to 14 days of judicial custody, but the students ask, is this action enough to compensate for the lives lost? As India continues to make its mark on the world stage, we are seeing some exhilarating performances from our athletes. Manu Bhaker has successfully opened the tally with a bronze medal for India. The action in Paris has been nothing short of spectacular, with Indian stars like PV Sindhu and Srija Akula showcasing their prowess in badminton and table tennis respectively. Here's a report with all that has happened in Paris for India.
Things have started to look great for the Indian contingent in Paris. Manu Bhaker has successfully registered the first bronze win for the Indian contingent. Bhaker's historic win makes her the first woman medalist at a shooting event ever. A small town in Haryana, Jhajjar, has erupted in big celebrations. Manu Bhaker's family members stood proud after she successfully registered her name in history books.
आपको धन्यवाद जी। पूरे देश के लिए गर्व की बात है कि पहली बार शूटिंग में हमारे लिए ये जो मेडल आया है, ब्रॉन्ज मेडल आया है। हमें आशा ये थी कि गोल्ड मेडल आएगा, परंतु फिर भी एक अच्छी अचीवमेंट है।
बहुत बढ़िया बेटी ने बहुत तारीफ करी है, बेटी ने बहुत बात करी है।
तो बेटी को किस तरह स्वागत करोगे आप?
हाँ कराएंगे।
क्या खिलाओगे?
क्या खिलाएंगे? सोना की टूम डाल दूंगी, चैन निकाल दूंगी।
पूरा देश खुश है। मनु ने शुरुआत की है ओलंपिक में मेडल से, और अभी तो मनु के इवेंट्स बाकी हैं। उसके लिए मैं आप सबका, देशवासियों का बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूँ। इसके साथ साथ में मनु को जहाँ पे भी मदद मिली है, वो लगभग हर कॉर्नर से मदद मिली है। स्पोर्ट्स मंत्रालय से भी टॉप्स एक डिपार्टमेंट है, वहाँ से स्पेशली फेडरेशन से उसकी सारी बातें मानी गई है। उसको सारे इक्विपमेंट और ये चीज़ों में हेल्प मिली है, और OGQ उनको मदद करती है। और साथ में जसपाल राणा के साथ में जुड़ने के बाद में मनु का हौसला जो है काफ़ी बूस्टअप है, और देशवासियों के दुआएं और आशीर्वाद से वो ये कर पाई।
Srija won her round of 64 table tennis match 11-4, 11-9, 11-7 and 11-8 against Sweden's Kristina Kallberg. Ramita Jindal placed 5th to qualify for the 10-meter air rifle women's final. Meanwhile, Sindhu faced no trouble whatsoever in winning the first game against the Maldives opponent with an astonishing 21-9 margin. Wrapping up a dominant win in just 29 minutes, India's ace singles shuttler PV Sindhu clinched her campaign opener in straight games with a score tally of 21-9 and 21-6. India's up-and-coming shuttler Lakshya Sen pipped Kevin Corden of Guatemala in a group match of the men's singles badminton competition at the Paris Olympics. 22-year-old Sen won 21-8 and 22-20 against the reigning Pan-American champion Corden in his Olympics debut match. The nail-biting spectacle lasted for 42 minutes. With all these updates coming from Paris, the nation awaits further glory and happiness.
Well, let's look at some of the stories from across the country. In a wrap for Bharat in 2 minutes, security forces have launched a massive anti-terror operation in Mangnar area of Punch. Operation launched after 2 suspected terrorists were seen in the area. Joint forces are conducting searches in the dense forested region. Punjab Police busts international drug network, seizes over ₹1 crore drug money and apprehends 2 operatives of foreign-based top drug smugglers Gurjant Singh Bholu and Kinderbir Singh. The State Special Operations Cell Amritsar has registered FIR against foreign handlers and 2 operatives arrested for running an organized crime syndicate. 12-year-old Arnab Bharadwaj is commemorating 25 years of Kargil Vijay with 1200 km bicycle yatra from Kargil War Memorial to National War Memorial. New Delhi. The initiative is to pay tributes to the bravehearts of Kargil war and supported by the Ministry of Defence and the Indian Army. EMS Jaishankar meets US Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Tokyo, Japan, and he tweeted, "Our bilateral agenda progresses steadily." Also had a wide-ranging discussion on the regional and global issues. Looking forward to attending the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting tomorrow. The body of a Southeastern Coalfields Limited official who was swept away after rain waterlogged flooded a portion of a mine in Chhattisgarh's Korba district was found on Sunday post a 16-hour search, police said. Another batch of pilgrims left from the Pantha Chowk in Srinagar here on Sunday for the Amarnath Cave Shrine in the South Kashmir Himalayas. Amid tight security arrangements, the pilgrims were heading towards the base camp of Baltal and of Pahalgam, from where they would be out for the holy shrine to connect with their faith and seek blessings. Outrage intensifies as three UPSC aspirants tragically lost their lives after a coaching center was inundated with rainwater after a severe downpour in Delhi yesterday. The incident has sparked widespread protest throughout the national capital, highlighting a deep-seated frustration and a demand for accountability. Let's have a look at those details in this report.
Three UPSC aspirants at the Rao's IAS study circle in Delhi's Rajendra Nagar lost their lives due to basement drowning. The incident has sparked outrage with widespread protests spilling out onto the streets. The students are seething. Their anger is palpable. Lashing out, the students underscored the glaring lapses by the MCD.
डिमांड यही है कि भैया एमसीडी प्रशासन कार्रवाई करे, क्योंकि यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट्स के साथ जो हुआ है बेसमेंट में जो खुला हुआ है यहाँ पे इलीगल तरीके से चल रहा है, कोई सेफ्टी मेजर्स है नहीं और सीवर लाइन के नीचे से कहीं पास हो जा रही चीज़ें, तो अब जो वो चीज़ें हैं उनको सेफ्टी नॉर्म्स तो फॉलो, एमसीडी कैसे नक्शा पास कर देता है, कैसे चीज़ें कर रहा है, तो चीज़ें बंद होनी चाहिए। कुल मिला के लोगों की मांग यही है कि कार्रवाई करें, जो भी लापरवाही बरती गई है, जिन लोगों ने किया है उन सबको उस घेरे में ला के अपना उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई पूरी की जाए।
They are now demanding action and accountability.
बस ये चीज़ है कि जो चीज़ इलीगल तरीके से चल रही है उसको बंद कराया जाए। यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट आ रहे हैं, यहाँ रह रहे हैं, पढ़ रहे हैं, हम लोगों की वजह से यहाँ का चल भी रहा है जो भी चल रहा है, तो एक अच्छे तरीके से क्या होता है लीगल चीज़ उस तरह करते रहे। हर चीज़ में जब आप लीगल कर रहे हैं तो यहाँ भी आप देखिए ना, एमसीडी के एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के जो भी नक्शा वगैरह पास होता है वो जहाँ से भी पास हो रहा है उसकी जिम्मेदारी है ना वो चीज़।
As the anger boils, blatant negligence has come to the fore.
Sir, we are here for the questions. We want our answers, sir. And here is no one to take the responsibility what has happened in there. Sir, ये सरकार हर बार जब कोई त्रासदी होती है उस पे एक SIT बन जाती है और उसके बाद वो जांच होती ही रहती है, सर।
The protesting students have also pointed out that it was only after 3 hours that the rescue team turned up to help the trapped students.
प्रॉब्लम जो है कि 80% लाइब्रेरियां जो है बेसमेंट में हैं और हमें यहाँ ये देखने को मिलता है कि जैसे ही अगर बारिश 10 मिनट भी होती है यहाँ पर बाढ़ आ जाती है, तो आज तक इस पर एमसीडी वर्क नहीं कर रही है। ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एमसीडी की है अगर पानी भर जा रहा है। अगर 10 से 15 मिनट में दिल्ली में बाढ़ आ जा रही है, ओआरएन में बाढ़ आ जा रही है, सबसे पॉस एरिया है, हम 2-2.5-3 लाख रुपए फीस दे के यहाँ पढ़ रहे हैं, इसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एमसीडी की है। यही एमसीडी अगर एक टपरी पर से पैसे लेने हों जो लगी हैं उनसे पैसे लेने में बहुत रिस्पॉन्सिबल हैं।
The institute is now organizing a candle march to honor the memory of the 3 students who passed away. While the owner of the coaching institute has been detained, the fact of the matter remains that no candle march or law proceedings is going to bring back the 3 promising young aspirants. As the city mourns and demands justice, one pressing question remains. In the face of such evident negligence and delayed response, how will authorities ensure that such a tragedy is never repeated? And who will be held accountable for the systematic failures that led to these innocent lives being lost?
Amid the grief and anger over the death of the 3 civil service aspirants in the flooded basement of the coaching center in West Delhi's Rajendra Nagar, the BJP came out all guns at the ruling Aam Aadmi Party, accusing it of criminal negligence and corruption. The AAP Rajya Sabha MP Swati Maliwal also took a swipe at her own party over the incident. Watch this report.
Massive protests have erupted at Rajendra Nagar.
At the protest site at Karol Bagh metro station here, you can see the students are protesting at this point in time. They have blocked this road right now. The entire road has been choked, and here you can see they are sitting over here, and in their hands you can see the placards which reflects "Maut hui hai, koi mazak nahi hai." The police is trying, the Delhi police team is trying to remove the students from here, and they are trying to detain some of the students, but they are resisting it. They are not trying to go from this very place at this point in time. So what happened was that we have seen last evening that 3 students died in an unfortunate incident when they were stuck inside that building where they have come for a study in the library. What happened at that point of time? Water logging happened inside the basement for approximately 12 to 13 feet, and those students got stuck. And after that, 3 persons, which include 2 female students and 1 male student, have died. And right now here you can see all those students have come from very far. These are the UPSC aspirants who have come over here to raise their protest, to raise their demands.
As outrage and grief gripped the national capital over the deaths of 3 IAS aspirants, the BJP tore into AAP. Accusing the AAP of civic neglect, the BJP claimed local MLA Durgesh Pathak sat on pleas to clean the clogged stormwater drains in the area. Delhi Mayor Shelly Oberoi also came under heavy fire from the BJP.
पिछले 2 महीने से भारतीय जनता पार्टी अध्यक्ष के नाते हम दिल्ली की मंत्री से बार-बार गुहार कर रहे हैं कि दिल्ली में नालों की सफाई नहीं हुई है, आपने भ्रष्टाचार के नालों की सफाई कराई। अगर नालों की सफाई हो जाती, वहाँ पानी ओवरफ्लो नहीं होता, तो बच्चे बचाए जा सकते थे।
Local MP and BJP leader Basuri Swaraj also lashed out at Pathak, saying the deaths could have been avoided had the drains been cleaned on time. Blaming the deaths on Pathak and Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Basuri alleged that no one from AAP visited the scene after the incident.
When we talk about them being aspirants, we're not talking about just their aspirations. We're also talking about the families and their aspirations which were attached with these children. It's extremely, extremely unfortunate. This is a case of clear-cut criminal negligence which has been done by the Honorable MLA Shri Durgesh Pathak ji and by the omission of the Kejriwal government.
Senior BJP leader RP Singh too flayed the AAP over the deaths, saying that the buck stopped with local MLA Pathak and the MCD.
लगातार सरकार से, MCD से, लोकल विधायक से, लोकल पार्षद से, आप मेरे सोशल हैंडल पे दे सकते हैं, हम लगातार पिछले हफ्ते भर से कह रहे हैं कि पानी का भराव हो रहा है। इस जगह पे नहीं, जहाँ पर विधायक रहते हैं उसके एरिया में भराव हो रहा है, परंतु क्योंकि डिसिल्टिंग हुई नहीं, डिसिल्टिंग पे घोटाला हुआ है और उसका भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है, उसके चलते आज ये परिस्थिति को हमको देखना पड़ रहा है। तो ये स्थिति का जिम्मेवार पूर्णतः दिल्ली सरकार, दिल्ली की पीडब्ल्यूडी की जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, ये MCD है, उनको इसकी चिंता करनी चाहिए थी। उन्होंने टाइम से चिंता नहीं की, उसका ये नतीजा है कि हमारे नौजवानों की जान गई, हमारे बच्चों की जान गई।
BJP national spokesperson Shehzad Poonawalla meanwhile blamed the deaths on the AAP's criminal civic apathy. He also called out the deafening silence of the AAP's Indi partner Congress over the tragic deaths.
देश की राष्ट्रीय राजधानी में 3 भविष्य उजाड़ दिए गए, जो भविष्य भारत की सेवा करते 3 UPSC एस्पिरेंट्स आज वो हमारे बीच नहीं रहे। इनकी हत्याओं के लिए कौन जिम्मेदार है? ये घटना नहीं है, ये राज्य प्रायोजित हत्याएं हैं। क्योंकि वहां पर वो क्लासेस इस प्रकार से कैसे चल रही थी, किसकी अनदेखी थी? क्या सिविल अथॉरिटीज की अनदेखी नहीं हुई? क्या उसमें भ्रष्टाचार नहीं था? स्थानीय विधायक की जवाबदेही होनी चाहिए और आतिशी जी को भी कोई प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके दोषारोपण नहीं, अपनी जिम्मेदारी उठाते हुए अकाउंटेबिलिटी देनी चाहिए।
The biggest strike on the AAP came from its own Rajya Sabha member of Parliament Swati Maliwal, who called the deaths murder. The former DCW chairperson also vowed to raise the matter in the Parliament.
मेरी छात्रों से बात हुई है, छात्र बहुत गुस्से में हैं और मैं ये मानती हूँ कि ये कहीं से भी सरकारी लापरवाही का मामला नहीं है, ये मर्डर का मामला है। ये मर्डर हुआ है, FIR दर्ज होनी चाहिए। बच्चों ने ये तक बताया कि किस तरीके से काउंसलर को 10 से 12 दिन पहले बार बार बोला गया कि ये जो ड्रेनेज हो गया है, खराब हो गया है, इस ड्रेनेज को ठीक कीजिए, लेकिन कोई कार्यवाही नहीं करी गई। पार्लियामेंट में ये मुद्दा उठाऊंगी। ये मुद्दा दिल्ली देश की राजधानी का है, ये पार्लियामेंट का मुद्दा है, क्योंकि ये जो बच्चे मरे हैं ये देश के कोने कोने से आते हैं। गरीब से गरीब बच्चा यहाँ पे आकर अपनी एक बड़ी उड़ान लेने का सपना देखता है और ये हाल है, ये हाल बना रखा है दिल्ली देश की राजधानी का।
As anger mounts over the West Delhi deaths and the BJP guns for the AAP, the moot question is, can the ruling party dodge accountability?
25 years ago, India changed what the nefarious plan of the Pakistan was. India occupied those heights that were never an easy task, and it was always the man behind the machine that actually made the difference.
Just general.
We talked about the hot dogs.
Talked about